Chapter 101. Screeched at the wind and clouds suddenly changed and the heavy snow stopped abruptly. The god-slaying eagle soared into the sky, its roar shattering the mountains and rivers. The heavy snow rushed in the opposite direction. Outside the city, other than beasts, there were more beasts. All kinds of unknown beasts roared, their roars filling the sky. Tigers ran, causing the earth to shake. Violent bear pulled up a lone mountain and smashed it against the city wall. Boom boom boom. Roared at the soul-stirring roars caused the heroes to be unable to breathe. Their faces were pale and sweat dripped down. Flaming Cloud City trembled, the city wall cracked. Dozens of bitter sea stage experts died on the spot and flew back dozens of meters. Even Grotto Heaven stage experts were not spared. Some of the weaker Grotto Heaven stage experts were bleeding from their 7 orifices, their robes drenched in blood. Defend! The reinforcements are about to arrive. Defend for me! Lu Patian roared and personally went into battle. His true yuan poured into the enchantment seal. The city protection formation shone with a divine light, a rainbow light sprinkling the world. Flaming Cloud City was shaking. The ground cracked open thousands of meters. More than half of the houses collapsed. Countless children wailed and the citizens roared. Blood and bones piled up like mountains. The earth swallowed the blood and bones. The weak complained to the heavens that the end of the world was coming. No one could escape the arrival of fate. It's over. We're all finished. Azure Dragon Holy Man, please descend once more. Most of the people were shouting and praying to the Azure Dragon Holy Man, hoping that such a hero would appear again to save the people. The Fate Palace experts were full of guilt. Veins popped out all over their bodies. Their true yuan poured out, hoping to stall for a little longer. Unfortunately, the reinforcements did not arrive. They seemed to have given up on Flaming Cloud City. Boom! Violent bear attacked again. Baring its teeth, its mountain-like arms smashed the lone mountain through the Flaming Cloud City wall. The city wall collapsed. Hundreds of experts fell under the city wall and were shaken to death. Even if they did not die, they were smashed to death by the rocks. It was a tragic scene. The city was broken. 1,000-mile dike collapsed because of an ant's nest. A part of the city collapsed and the entire city wall collapsed. The city protection formation broke by itself. Heavens! The Grotto Heaven stage experts that fell from the city wall did not even have time to react before they were killed by the birds. Their flesh and blood were swallowed and not even their bones were left. The Fate Palace warriors were furious. Ethereal force poured out from their palms and turned into giant hands that covered the sky, pouncing on the beasts. Screech! 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 The god-slaying eagle let out a shrill roar, commanding all the beasts to run. The wild bear was unstoppable, pressing towards Lu Patian. The mad tiger dashed over, leaping 1,000 meters and stopping Tang Sheng. A god-slaying eagle's sharp claws tore through the sky and headed straight for Venerable Water Moon. It seemed to remember him. Regardless of quantity or quality, how could Flaming Cloud City withstand the assault of the beast horde? Furthermore, the city walls had already been breached and the city protection array had been opened. What awaited them was only death. The various experts were unafraid of death. At this time, whether they retreated or fought, they would die. They might as well fight until the heavens fell and the earth rend. Their blood dyed the battlefield red. As expected of heroes. Killing one is enough, killing two is a profit. Ling Chen took the lead. His broken dragon blade whizzed past and his foot shattered the ground. With a flash of his blade, the dragon's roar resounded throughout Flaming Cloud City, inspiring the heroes. Wang Shizhi's eyes gleamed coldly. The ancient sword in his hand exuded an ancient aura. With a flick of the tip of the sword, countless sword shadows were drawn. Wherever the shadows passed, the beasts screamed and blood splattered. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu looked at each other. They spread their wings and fought side by side, cooperating with each other, ready to escape at any time. There were 9 4th-grade beasts in total, but there were only 6 Fate Palace warriors among the humans. Unable to form a resistance, Lu Patian and the rest retreated. They could not help but roar at the sky. Heaven, please open your eyes. Are the billions of lives on Owl Falling Star going to be eaten by the beasts? Screeched at the god-slaying eagle responded with a mournful screech. More beasts came forward one after another. As far as the eye could see, it was a black mass that made one feel hopeless. Yi Mingxi protected Wang Shi. She pressed her palms on both sides of her head. Her eyes were like torches. Suddenly, her soul released an even more powerful wave. The 4 spiritual swords on her back were unsheathed. They pierced through the void. The sword light was like a rainbow. Wherever it passed, it was indestructible and penetrated the bodies of the beasts. The 4 spiritual swords formed a huge whirlpool around her. They turned into countless spiritual swords and shredded the sky. The cold light was oppressive and looked extremely terrifying. Sword manipulation technique. Ancient sword manipulation technique. A 5-year-old girl used her divine sense to control 4 spiritual swords. She displayed the power of the ancient sword manipulation technique. Swish, swish, swish. The sword light was like a rainbow. The white light illuminated the sky. With Yi Mingxi and the other 2 as the base, no beasts could get close to them within a radius of 20 meters. Countless beasts below 3rd grade would die if they got close to Yi Mingxi. The 4th grade spiritual sword set had become a meat grinder on the battlefield, shocking countless people. Yi Mingxi's pearl-like eyes opened and captured people's souls. Extreme space splitting. Whoosh! The spiritual swords were like immortal swords. They were indestructible and unstoppable. They pierced through the void. The Grotto Heaven Realm beasts had unparalleled defense, but they could not stop the spiritual swords from obliterating them. Hundreds of beasts' bodies fell from the sky. Flaming Cloud City was raining blood. The spiritual swords stirred up heaven and earth, forming a violent wind. Yi Mingxi kept protecting Wang Shi as they retreated. More and more mortals gathered behind them, hoping to escape with the help of this little fairy. Yi Mingxi's divine sense was extremely powerful. It was so powerful that it was unimaginable. She could control 4 spiritual swords at the same time without any difficulty. Too powerful. Many young powerhouses were excited. A 5-year-old girl could hold her own. Why couldn't they? Kill. For our clansmen behind us. Dozens of young powerhouses were not afraid of death. They pulled out their swords and pounced on the ferocious beasts. However, it was all in vain because the upper level determined everything. The opponent had 9 Fate Palace Realm beasts. Soon, Wild Tiger gave up on attacking Xinyuan Yu with Wild Bear. He pounced on Yi Mingxi with his sinister fangs. His roar was earth-shattering. Yi Mingxi's eyes flashed. She hid her shock and said hurriedly without looking back, "Sister Shui, take mother away. I'll buy you some time." The parrot stared at little Mingxi. It still had some feelings for Mingxi. How could it allow her to die here? It shouted at Yi Mingxi, "You guys retreat. I'll play with this big tiger." The parrot's figure flashed and cut through the void. It hid its chi and blood, like an ordinary bird, rushed to the front of the rank 4 Wild Tiger. Wild Tiger was furious. It roared and its chi almost sent the parrot flying. It waved its forelimbs and smashed at the parrot. The parrot's speed was unparalleled. Yi Mingxi was no match for it. She flew sideways and dodged Wild Tiger's attack. She ran to the side of Wild Tiger's head. "How dare you use force on your divine bird grandpa? Watch out for my fire. I'll burn you to death, you mindless bastard." The parrot shouted and spat out a huge flame. It covered the sky and the earth and set the tiger's fur on fire. Roar! Roar! Wild Tiger thought that the parrot was just an ordinary bird and did not pay much attention to it. It only felt that it was blocking its attack path and was ready to kill it. However, it did not expect the flame to engulf it. Its fur was instantly burned and its skin was stinging as if it was cut by a knife. However, the flame was still burning. It could only roll and roar desperately. Everyone saw a huge furless tiger rolling and crushing hundreds of ferocious beasts. Some humans were also crushed and died on the spot. The parrot was not going to let it go. It chased after Wild Tiger and spat. "I'll burn it." Bush. Lu Padian and the others were overjoyed. They did not expect Yi Mingxi to have a spiritual pet that could fight a Fate Palace Realm ferocious beast. This is a chance. We might not die. Lu Padian saw hope. There were only 2 Fate Palace Realm warriors between them. The other Fate Palace Realm warriors also saw the problem. They all exploded with power, hoping to kill a Fate Palace Realm ferocious beast. Let's team up and stop a Fate Palace Realm warrior. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning shouted at Ling Chen and Wang Shizhi. 4 young kings, 3 Grotto Heaven Realm warriors and 1 9 stars of the Bitter Sea Realm. Perhaps they could really stop a Fate Palace Realm warrior. The 4 of them cooperated seamlessly and used the formation that kings were best at, the 4 talents formation. They advanced and retreated in an orderly manner. Their attacks were unparalleled. They pounced on the rhinoceros monster and shared a part of the attack with Lu Padian. The pressure on Lu Padian was greatly reduced. He focused on fighting the winged panther. Suddenly, he was full of vigor and began to counterattack. Until now, only Master Shui Yu was in a more miserable state. She was covered in blood and was surrounded by 2 god-slaying eagles. She could die at any time, but no one could help her. Screech, with a shrill cry, a god-slaying eagle's sharp claws pierced through the void and grabbed Master Shui Yu's arms, tearing them apart. Master Shui Yu screamed and fell from the void. The favorable situation that had just appeared turned back into a hopeless situation. Within the cave residence on the cliff, Yi Qinghan had spent a night refining the Azure Dragon arm, successfully breaking through to the 5th star of the Bitter Sea Realm and entering the Gone Sea Realm. His true essence had undergone a qualitative change. The Sea of Qi had become a true sea of ethereal force. The little person in Yi Qinghan's Sea of Consciousness held the berserk hammer. He rode the wind and broke through the waves, splitting the heaven and earth. He went straight to the other side of the endless bitter sea hell. He watched the evolution of chaos and cultivated the origin of the world. As soon as the little person entered the bitter sea hell, his heart demon was born. The battle of Shao Zhanxing appeared in his Sea of Consciousness again. The little person's eyes were red and his saber roared. Kill. Those who block me kill. Yi Qinghan's eyes turned red from the killing. It was as if he was looking at those cruel and unscrupulous friends of his. Every one of them looked as if they were mourning the heavens, but in reality, they were extremely vicious. They took advantage of his loyalty and deceived him to strengthen themselves. For the sake of their own greed, they betrayed him and even annihilated the entire Yi clan. To these people, there was only hatred. Other than hatred, there was no other emotion. Other than killing, there was no other way. Gradually, Yi Qinghan was lost in the endless sea of killing and suffering. His face was ferocious and filled with killing intent. He had turned into a mad demon. The Qin Emperor was awakened by Yi Qinghan's madness. He asked softly, "Teacher, are you okay?" But Yi Qinghan did not respond at all. In order to overcome the powerful heart demon and suffering, he went all out and did not leave a bit of his consciousness outside. Therefore, he could not hear the Qin Emperor's call. Chapter 102. The Sea of Bitterness was boundless, and the demons in one's heart were everywhere. Even if one were to overcome all obstacles, it would still be difficult to cross the Sea of Bitterness. Yi Qinghan transformed into the god of war. His golden light shone brightly, blocking countless demons. However, he still could not move forward. The demons in one's heart came from the deepest memories that one did not want to talk about. Owl War Star, the Wang family, and the dead Yi Qinghan. The voices of blame were endless, and it was unbearable. "You liar! You took over my body. You promised to take care of my mother and sister. They are in a desperate situation, but you are a coward. What kind of hero are you?" The dead Yi Qinghan roared ferociously, his hatred overflowing to the heavens. "Brother, save me." The weak Yi Mingxi was dragged into the depths of the Sea of Bitterness by the demons. She struggled and screamed in pain. Yi Qinghan's breathing was rapid. The little man in the Sea of Bitterness swung his saber. His clothes were fluttering in the wind. His hair was as black as ink, flying behind him. "Amitba, the Sea of Bitterness is boundless. Turn back and you will see the shore. The other side of the Sea of Bitterness is the endless abyss of hell. Anyone who enters it will turn into a demon and bring disaster to the world." Turn back and be an ordinary person. Didn't the death of Owl War Star in your previous life wake you up? Shura Yi Qinghan's Buddhist light shone brightly. His dharma was boundless and spread in all directions, blocking Yi Qinghan's path. Yi Qinghan, aren't you a self-proclaimed hero? Countless living beings in Owl Fall Star are crying and begging. Why are you so indifferent? Coward, so what if the divine martial imperial codex is in your hands? Give it to me now. Emperor Xinyi stood proudly in front of Yi Qinghan, crushing countless demons with his sword. Kill. The little man in the sea of bitterness was like a madman. He summoned the devil dragon saber and slashed crazily. Wherever the saber passed, the sea of bitterness would overturn and the demons in one's heart would die. Boom, Emperor Xinyi was the first to be killed. His body was torn apart and his blood dyed the sea of bitterness red. All of you should die. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse and cold. His entire body was enveloped by a baleful aura. It was very likely that the demon dragon saber would counterattack. Flipping blade technique. With a flip of the demon dragon saber, a cold light illuminated the sea of sufferings. With one slash, the Azura Qianyi was scattered, and the Buddhist light instantly dispersed. But in front of him, Yi Mingxi was still struggling, Yi Qinghan was still criticizing him, and the countless living beings of Owl Fall Planet were still begging him, making it difficult for him to advance. The heart demon was using Yi Qinghan's mentality to block his path, making it impossible for him to cross the sea of bitterness. Yi Mingxi and the others were indeed a dead knot in his heart. The tragic deaths of countless living beings was not something he wanted to see. The current Owl Falling Star was indeed the same as the Owl War Star of the past. It was also a helpless creature, begging and wailing, but it was completely useless. It was still being slaughtered by the savage enemy. The weak had no right to complain about unfairness. The heavens were unfair to begin with, so how could living beings be fair? Only the strong could go against the heavens and use their fists to fight for their own fairness. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed. He gripped his saber tightly, looking extremely ferocious. Whoosh, another figure flashed past and blocked Yi Qinghan's path. His tender face was as white as jade, without any blemishes. His long hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were dim, and his face was filled with worry. Master, you have taught me that as long as I have a clear conscience, even if the heart demon is born, I will still have to walk on it. Only then will I be able to condense my will. Everything in front of me is just an illusion. Master, please let go of the obsession in your heart and cross the heart demon first before saving the people. The illusory figure of the Qin Emperor was lifelike. His voice was like the sound of nature, calming the heart of Yi Qinghan, who was agitated, instantly calming down. The Qin Emperor was perhaps the only pure land in Yi Qinghan's heart. He did not have any heart demons. Yi Qinghan smiled. His killing intent dissipated, and he nodded solemnly. With a howl, he charged into the depths of the sea of bitterness like a sharp sword. Wherever he passed, the heart demons were all dispersed. The Qin Emperor's figure turned into specks of light and dispersed. His original body in the cave spat out a mouthful of essence blood, and his face was as white as paper. Forcefully breaking open Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness consumed too much energy. Perhaps only someone like the Qin Emperor, who had achieved the union of heaven and man, could break open Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness of a grand martial venerable. The Qin Emperor took out some mid-grade spirit crystals and quickly healed his injured soul. This time, he forcefully entered the sea of consciousness of a grand martial venerable. Although he was slightly injured, he had benefited greatly. However, it was fortunate that Yi Qinghan did not attack him. Otherwise, he would have died in the sea of consciousness and become a living dead. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was riding the wind and breaking the waves. The sea of bitterness of a grand martial venerable was vast and boundless. His figure moved quickly as if he was speeding in the endless universe. The sea of bitterness had no heart demons, and it became the most beautiful galaxy. After an unknown period of time, Yi Qinghan's eyes flickered with a bright light. He looked at the primal chaos pouring down in front of him. Thick bolts of lightning struck down from the sky. Countless sources of the great Tao were born, and an aura of the vicissitudes of time rushed towards him. He was restless and excited. The origin aura that could shake one's Tao heart covered the heavens and the earth. The myriad Taos of the heavens and the earth filled the entire land of chaos. From nothingness to existence, from illusion to reality, it was slowly being born. Yi Qinghan's eyes widened. He didn't want to miss a single moment. The more he looked, the more his soul would change. He would have a better understanding of the great Tao, origins, and laws. Heaven and earth were divided into yin and yang transformed into a myriad of things. All things evolved into countless living beings, and the universe was endless. The great Tao of yin and yang was filled with chaos, forming a huge yin-yang 8 trigrams diagram that hung in the void and stole one's soul. Reincarnation, order, destruction, chaos, and life were derived from yin and yang. They were known as the great Tao of heaven and earth, and together with yin and yang, they were known as the 6 paths. The 6 paths continued to evolve and split into 3,000 minor paths. Everything was a path, and every grain of sand was a world. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath as he greedily watched the chaos being reborn, destroyed, and reborn. Countless bolts of lightning intertwined to form a net of light that was indestructible and unbreakable. After watching for an unknown period of time, Yi Qinghan entered the chaos alone with his saber. He accepted the baptism of the chaos and the refinement of the great Tao. Yi Qinghan was fighting in his own battlefield while Flaming Cloud City became hell. It was evolving the great Tao of reincarnation. Countless living beings died tragically. Even those of the Fate Palace realm could not escape death. Supremacy Shuiyue fell from midair, but the god-slaying eagle swooped down from the sky. Its sharp claws pierced through his chest. His heart was ripped out and devoured by the god-slaying eagle. The other god-slaying eagle devoured Supremacy Shuiyue's corpse directly. The vigorous blood qi was completely refined by the god-slaying eagle before it could dissipate. A living Fate Palace realm cultivator was killed. It made everyone understand how tragic the war was. Anyone could die, including those of the Fate Palace realm. The mad tiger was enraged. His burnt skin rolled on the ground. Instantly, his skin split open and his flesh was exposed. The fragrance of meat permeated Flaming Cloud City, covering the stench of blood. The parrot chased after him relentlessly, spitting out fire. Both parties were exhausted. I'm so tired. I'll let you off this time. If you offend me again, I'll burn you alive. Boom! The wild tiger roared. All of its golden fur had been burned away, and it was now a bald tiger. It looked incomparably ugly, and its fangs were exposed. The vicious light in its eyes was self-evident as it stared fixedly at the parrot. The god-slaying eagle's sharp eyes were filled with respect and greed. The conflicting look could be seen in the eyes of almost every 4th-grade beast. A 8th-grade divine beast. Even if it was just a cub, its aura alone could suppress any beast below 8th grade. This was completely related to the bloodline. Although there was a huge difference between a rank 4 and a rank 5 bloodline, these ferocious rank 4 beasts didn't have much of a soul. Greed was their nature. Encountering a rank 5 bloodline like the parrot, who didn't have much strength, obviously made them greedy. How dare you look at this divine bird with such a gaze? Have you eaten a leopard's guts? In fact, it was more afraid than anyone else. If it had the strength, it would have run away. The god-slaying eagle and the other 4th-grade Life Palace beasts stopped attacking. The humans took the opportunity to take a break and began to retreat, preparing to form the 3rd line of defense. Yi Mingxi gestured for Jian Chenxue to take Wang Shi away. She wanted to retreat but dared not as the 9 Life Palace beasts were staring at her. Yi Mingxi could only retreat slowly. Hurry up and recover your strength, Yi Mingxi cried. The roar was weak. It regretted eating the demon god fruit but did not have the strength to protect itself. Now, the Life Palace beasts coveted its qi and blood, putting it in danger. Boom. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and turned to look. They were not willing to see Yi Mingxi being slapped to death. Lu Ningyu had just spread her wings and was about to rescue Yi Mingxi when she saw Yi Mingxi riding her sword as fast as lightning. She broke through the void and soared into the sky. Although she was not at the Grotto Heaven realm and could not fly, Yi Mingxi was the first to use the sword manipulation technique to fly. Although she was not very familiar with the sword manipulation technique and was swaying in the air, her speed was very fast. Everyone screamed in fear. The two god-slaying eagles seemed to see hope. They pounced on Yi Mingxi and let out a shrill cry. Their huge wings covered the sky as they attacked from the front and back. How could a little kid like Yi Mingxi stop two Fate Palace-level ferocious beasts? Watch out! Lu Ning was shocked. She waved her 5th-grade vibrating spirit wings and flapped the sky. The airflow reversed and her figure moved. She directly caught Yi Mingxi, who was falling from the sky. However, since the god-slaying eagles had decided to attack, they did not care about the noble bloodline of the roar. They tore through the void with their sharp claws and pounced on Lu Ningyu. As the god-slaying eagles moved, the rest of the beasts moved as well. They pounced on the people of Huiyun City again. This wave of attacks made the Life Palace realm warriors despair. Hum. A heavenly sound resonated in the void as if it came from the ancient celestial dynasty. It turned into heavenly music that touched all living things and suppressed all Tao. The rank 4 god-slaying eagles lost control and fell to the ground. Everyone was shocked and looked out of the city. Chapter 103. The beasts stopped their attacks and turned back to look. They saw a vigorous figure in the distance. His face was like jade, and he was handsome to the point of being devilish. His long hair danced in the wind, and his black clothes fluttered. He held a demon knife that was filled with baleful aura as he walked step by step towards Fire Cloud City, the city of death. What shocked the crowd even more was that there was a little girl sitting on the man's shoulder. She was hugging a glowing guqin. Her jade-like fingers plucked the strings lightly. The sound of the guqin could freeze everything in the world. It's him! Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu recognized Yi Qinghan immediately. He was the man they chased into the mountains. The Devil Dragon Saber's aura soared into the sky and the air currents collided. Yi Qinghan and Qin Shi Huang's black hair danced in the wind and their robes fluttered. Every step they took was in harmony with the most beautiful melody in the world. Such a perfect couple was like a fairy that walked out from a fairyland. They were in harmony with everything. A slight movement of their fingertips could elicit the response of all the Daos. This shocked the Fate Palace cultivators. He is the one who bought the Green Dragon Saber from the Green Dragon Holy Man. Ha! With the Green Dragon Saber out, all the demons will submit. We are saved. Someone shouted, and it resonated with the remaining cultivators of Huiyun City. They were filled with fighting spirit and killing intent. Green Dragon! Green Dragon! Demon Slayer! Demon Slayer! Even though the crowd did not know the real name of the Devil Dragon Saber, they still treated it as a sacred item and a symbol of faith because it represented the Green Dragon Holy Man. Lu Ning landed on the ground with Yi Mingxi in her arms. She stared at Yi Qinghan, who was coming from afar. Her Taoist heart was in a mess. She frowned but could not remember his name. Yi Lingyu took a deep breath. His eyes were filled with complex emotions that could not be explained with words. Who is he? The Fate Palace cultivators looked at each other. They had never seen Yi Qinghan before, but they recognized the Devil Dragon Saber. It was heavy, but in Yi Qinghan's hands, it was as light as a feather. Lu Patin and the others looked at Lu Aotian. All the Fate Palace warriors knew that the Devil's Dragon Blade was taken away by room number 7. Room number 7 was Lu Aotian's room. Lu Aotian's face was flushed with excitement. It was as if seeing Yi Qinghan was enough to save Flaming Cloud City and Lu Lan. Looking at Yi Qinghan, Zero Chen's heart palpitated. This time, looking at Yi Qinghan was completely different from the last time. Although Yi Qinghan was unfathomable in the past, looking at Yi Qinghan now was like looking at the endless universe. One would never be able to explore its depths. He's become so strong. However, his realm didn't increase by much. He's only at 6 stars of the Bitter Sea realm. He's still far from the Grotto Heaven realm, but when I look at him, I feel that he's even more terrifying than the Fate Palace realm. Ling Chen stared at Wang Shizhi, trying to get his approval. Although Wang Shizhi was an invincible challenger and was confident that he was invincible in the same realm, looking at Yi Qinghan, he felt that he would not be able to withstand more than 100 moves from Yi Qinghan, even if he had a great advantage in terms of realm. If Zero Chen and Yi Qinghan's aura were that of a challenger, then Yi Qinghan's aura was that of a supreme. Among the supreme of the same realm, there was no one who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. Jian Chenshue looked at Yi Qinghan, who was approaching from afar, and exhaled. He finally felt that he had someone to rely on. He was no longer a duckweed in the ocean that could be drowned by the beasts at any time. Yi Qinghan quickly arrived at Flaming Cloud City. Looking at the corpses on the ground, he was expressionless. He was used to seeing life and death. What kind of situation had he not seen before? Qin Huang's divine perception spread out and imprinted the hellish scene in Flaming Cloud City in his mind. His face was gloomy as he gently plucked the 9 strings with his 5 fingers. The sound of nature intimidated millions of beasts. These beasts were like pets that had been tamed. They stayed where they were and listened to the sound of the zither. The god-slaying eagle's sharp eyes stared at the devil dragon saber in Yi Qinghan's hand. There was respect, hatred, and anger in his eyes. His sharp claws tore the void and his wings flapped the sky. However, he did not dare to approach. Qin Ying was overjoyed. Seeing Qin Huang establishing his power, he immediately shouted, "It's the son of the Qin clan, Qin Huang, the future ruler of the Qin clan." Qin Ying's shamelessness was comparable to the parrot's. Earlier, he betrayed Qin Huang without hesitation. Now, he was trying to get more benefits. Even the parrot was speechless. It glanced at him coldly and curled its lips in disdain. It didn't even have the strength to mock him. Qin Haoran's face twitched. He looked at Qin Huang, who was plucking the zither and intimidating all living beings. His eyes were filled with jealousy and viciousness. "He's just a blind man. Why didn't Yi Qinghan train me? Why did he train this lowly blind man? They're all blind." Qin Haoran cursed in his heart. He thought that Qin Huang was trained by Yi Qinghan. He didn't know that it was her own talent and hard work. Yi Qinghan lifted the saber and stood in the middle of the beasts and humans. He was like an insurmountable trench. The gloomy devil dragon saber emitted a supreme dragon aura that intimidated the 4th-rank god-slaying eagle. There were only 300,000 people left in the millions of cities. The rest were either dead or severely injured. Now, they were all looking at the imposing figure with tears in their eyes. "Qin Huang, you're finally back. The tens of billions of people in Lulan and Shaoyun Star are counting on you to save them." Qin Ying's tears flowed freely. He didn't know how to squeeze out a few drops of tears. It was as if he knew from the beginning that Qin Huang could save the people. So it's a child of the Qin clan. "Thank you, Taoist Qin Huang, for saving the people. I'll thank you first." Lu Patin and the other powerful warriors of the Fate Palace realm cupped their fists and said. Qin Ying had a proud expression as if it was more glorious than praising himself. "No, I'm not Qin Huang. I'm Emperor Yi as in Yizi. Emperor as in emperor. I have nothing to do with the Qin clan. My only relative is my master." A crisp voice accompanied by the sound of the guqin whistled past and resounded throughout Flaming Cloud City. It was like a sudden clap of thunder that reached everyone's ears. "Emperor Yi as in Yizi, emperor as in emperor. What a good Emperor Yi." Determination appeared on his young face. He sat on Yi Qinghan's broad shoulders and played the guqin with his small hands. He didn't have to worry about any assassination because Yi Qinghan was below. The corner of Qin Ying's mouth twitched. He wanted to use Emperor Yi to take credit for the Qin clan. He didn't expect to be slapped in the face in front of everyone. "You bitch! Do you think you can abandon the Qin clan just because you learned some skills? I am the future patriarch of the Qin clan. From today onwards, you are expelled from the Qin clan. There is no such person as you in the Qin clan." Qin Haoran was enraged and didn't care about his feelings as he roared hysterically. Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at Qin Haoran. He pointed his long saber and a sharp saber aura cut through the air, causing everyone to feel a piercing pain. Kneel. Apologize. Otherwise, only death awaits. The cold voice was filled with orders that couldn't be disobeyed. From the moment Emperor Yi took the initiative to announce her as Emperor Yi in front of everyone, Yi Qinghan would never allow anyone to humiliate her. Damn bastard. This old man hasn't even said anything. Who do you think you are? Kneel down and kowtow to your sister to admit your mistakes. Papa. Qin Ying's face was malevolent and filled with rage. He ruthlessly slapped Qin Haoran's face a few times. That sound made everyone feel bitter and satisfied. Qin Haoran's legs were broken by Qin Ying's palm strike, causing him to kneel on the ground. Qin Haoran trembled under Yi Qinghan's cold stare. He felt that death was about to befall him. He didn't even care about his dignity and kowtowed repeatedly to apologize. I don't have time to waste my breath with an ignorant kid like you. This is the last chance I'm giving you. It's also because of Emperor Yi. Next time, what awaits you is death. Scram. Yi Qinghan waved his demon saber. His aura rushed out and sent Qin Haoran flying. Many people felt secretly satisfied when the clown was sent flying. They also understood why Emperor Yi was so determined. Screech. The god-slaying eagle was hundreds of meters away. It let out a mournful cry and flapped its wings, trying to mobilize millions of dire beasts to launch a counterattack. However, the sound of the guqin was heard again and a vision appeared. The shadow of a divine dragon and a phoenix roared in the sky, suppressing the dire beasts. Although the mad tiger was wild, it wasn't stupid. It only hated the parrot. Its ferocious gaze was fixed on the parrot on Yi Mingxi's shoulder. It couldn't wait to devour its bones. The parrot looked at Yi Qinghan, and then flew with all its might, and landed on Yi Qinghan's left shoulder. It looked at Yi Qinghan with a smug look on its face, and said proudly, "Just now, in order to save the young master, I burned this big tiger until not even its fur was left." Yi Qinghan looked at the mad tiger. Indeed, there wasn't a single strand of hair left. Its body was also emitting the fragrance of meat. If it wasn't strong enough, it would have been torn apart and eaten by other dire beasts. He was speechless. A dignified Fate Palace dire beast had been tricked by the parrot. However, before Yi Qinghan could praise it, the parrot cried out sadly, "Master, you have to save me. These bastards wanted to devour my flesh and blood. If I had known, I wouldn't have eaten the demonic god fruit." Everyone who attended the auction immediately understood that the demonic god fruit had been eaten by the parrot. Xin Yuanyu's mouth twitched. He wanted to be angry but didn't have the chance. At this moment, he couldn't afford to lose his temper. In the end, he glared at the parrot angrily. However, the parrot pretended not to see it. Its skin was thicker than the great city defense array. Yi Qinghan looked at the parrot's wretched appearance and didn't want to say anything more. No one knew this despicable bird better than he did. It didn't want to take advantage of others. Screech, the god-slaying eagle cried out angrily again. However, Emperor Ye's zither music rose and fell. None of the beasts were willing to move. They quietly listened to the sound of nature. Some of the ferocious beasts even stretched their bodies. Yi Qinghan slowly turned around and took a step forward. His saber chi swept out. His evil aura and murderous aura shook the 9 heavens. The god-slaying eagle and Yi Qinghan looked at each other. Their eyes were sharp. Sparks of electricity flashed. The pressure in the void became much heavier. Yi Qinghan held his saber and took advantage of the situation. It was as if a Taoist had descended. With his back facing the common people, he actually calmed down the panicked crowd. On his shoulder, Emperor Ye's clothes fluttered in the wind. His beautiful hair fluttered in the wind. A faint divine nature lingered around him. It made people and beasts feel intoxicated. The parrot took advantage of the situation to be arrogant. It threw the idea of canceling the contract to the back of its mind. It said happily, "Master is wise and mighty. You little bastards, why don't you kneel down and submit to me and be my underlings?" The wild tiger was furious. As a rank 4 ferocious beast, although they didn't have the high intelligence of humans, it didn't mean that they couldn't understand human language. At this moment, it was already dizzy with anger from the parrot. It couldn't wait to pounce on it. However, Yi Qinghan used the aura of a great martial venerable to suppress the heavens. Emperor Yi played the zither to control the blood and chi of the beasts. It didn't dare to attack without permission. Chapter 104. The furious tiger roared, breaking the control of the melody. Thousands of beasts roared in unison, and heaven and earth wailed. The parrot no longer dared to be arrogant and hid behind Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold, and the devil dragon saber exploded with a monstrous aura, as if it wanted to destroy everything in the world. Perhaps only he could control the devil dragon saber and unleash its true power. The devil dragon saber was unwilling to be the spirit of the saber, and it wanted to break the shackles and reconstruct its golden body. Every time the owner of the devil dragon saber used it, he would be devoured. This was the curse of the devil dragon saber. The Azure Dragon founder was also devoured by the devil dragon saber, and that was why he died together with the 4th grade dire beast. Otherwise, his future would have been bright. His clothes and long hair fluttered in the wind. When he lifted the devil dragon saber, the wind and clouds surged. Everything in the world has its own Tao. The demonic valley is your home. Why do you want to harm the world? The hoarse voice enveloped Flaming Cloud City, and the vicissitudes of life made people feel reverence. Yi Qinghan looked like he was only 18 or 19 years old, but his body emitted the aura of a 1,000-year-old civilization. The rings of history appeared on his body. Fellow Taoist, it's impossible to reason with them. Every 1,000 years, the beast tide will kill tens of millions of cultivators. If they have intelligence, how can they not know how to cultivate and live in peace? Xin Yuanyu said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan shook his head. Everything had intelligence, and these dire beasts were just low-level dire beasts without intelligence. They were not like the powerful ancient dire beasts in the endless universe. They had intelligence, but they wanted to rule the endless universe and destroy the human race. With thousands of races working together, the human race would suffer greatly. Screech! A shrill eagle cry was heard, and thousands of dire beasts responded. They roared and attacked Emperor Ye's mind, interrupting the disturbance of the music. Emperor Ye's face was as white as paper, and his soul was severely injured. The divine Guqin shrank back into his palm, and the momentum of the world changed. Brother, can you help us stall one of the Fate Palace Realm dire beast? If you can stall one, we will have a chance to wait for reinforcements. Xin Yuanyu and the other Fate Palace Realm dire beasts looked at Yi Qinghan expectantly and asked. The remaining tens of thousands of Bitter Sea and Grotto Heaven Realm experts stared at Yi Qinghan, treating Yi as their last life-saving straw. The veins on Yi Qinghan's right arm bulged as he gripped the Devil Dragon saber so tightly that it almost broke. He stared at the 9 4th-grade Fate Palace beasts and then looked at the humans. There were only 5 Fate Palace beasts and 4 Regal ranked masters, which meant that there were only 6 Fate Palace beasts. Including himself, there were 7 of them with 2 Fate Palace beasts in between. Parrot, I'll give you a mission. Lure Mad Tiger away. Complete this mission and I'll reward you. Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Dire beasts, dire beasts, dire beasts, dire beasts, cut the crap. Yi Qinghan was slightly angered. If this lowly bird wasn't beaten, it wouldn't become a talent. As soon as the parrot saw Yi Qinghan getting angry, it suddenly trembled and muttered, AI, the saying, capable people do more work, is really true. I'll suffer a bit and tease Wild Tiger a bit more. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and glanced at the powerful ferocious beasts such as the god-slaying eagle. Then, he fixed his gaze on the rhinoceros monster. This creature was extremely powerful. Its hide could block the attack of an ordinary 5th-grade combat weapon, and its horn could even break the defense of a Tao master. However, this creature was not much of a threat to Yi Qinghan. Although it was fast, it was not faster than the extreme divine dragon steps. Although its defense was strong, it could not block the attack of the devil dragon saber held by Azure Dragon Arm. Kill the rhinoceros monster first and end the battle quickly before fighting the violent bear. Perhaps Flaming Cloud City's crisis could be resolved. Yi Qinghan made up his mind. He nodded and said, I'll kill the rhinoceros monster. You guys hold the other ferocious beasts back for half an incense's time. I'll support you. Everyone was stunned. Half an incense's time? He could kill the rhinoceros monster. Did he think he was a Tao master? Even an ordinary Tao master would find it difficult to kill the rhinoceros monster quickly. Yi Qinghan raised the corner of his mouth and smiled coldly. As the saying goes, even the most powerful creature in the world could be restrained. However, he was the nemesis of the rhinoceros monster. Killing the rhinoceros monster did not show how powerful he was. It could only be said that he was the rhinoceros monster's natural enemy. The parrot did not wait for the others to attack. It swallowed countless elixirs and spiritual fruits in the universe ring and quickly recovered its true core strength. It flew into the sky and charged towards Wild Tiger, shouting, "Bald Kitty, come and fight with your grandpa Divine Bird. This Divine Bird will let you have 3 moves." When Wild Tiger saw the parrot, he immediately lost control. He did not care about the others. His mountain-like limbs smashed the ground as he pounced towards the parrot. However, the parrot did not fight him head-on. It used its speed to rush out of Flaming Cloud City. It was even cursing, afraid that Wild Tiger would not follow it out of Flaming Cloud City. Wild Tiger would not let it escape. He crushed countless ferocious beasts along the way and rushed out of the city. In order to avoid Wild Tiger, the ferocious beasts outside the city ran away and broke the attacking formation. Screech, the god-slaying eagle, was furious. It wanted Wild Tiger to calm down, but Wild Tiger pretended not to hear it. He only wanted to kill the parrot, completely disrupting the ferocious beast's attack. Xin Yuan Yu and the others were overjoyed. This was the best opportunity. They immediately waved their swords and jumped up. Some rushed towards the god-slaying eagle, some rushed towards the sky leopard. They cooperated and took care of each other. They only wanted to delay the rhinoceros monster for half an incense's time. Whether Yi Qinghan could kill the rhinoceros monster or not, it was at least a chance. Yi Qinghan raised his right arm, and his aura tore his clothes apart. His right arm glowed with a golden light, like a peerless saber that could destroy anything. The aura of the demon dragon saber in his hand was even more powerful. "Sit tight. Help me suppress the rhinoceros monster for a breath's time." Yi Qinghan did not let go of Emperor Yi. The two of them were one. The tip of their feet crushed the ground. Their aura was like a rainbow. The demon dragon saber flashed with a dazzling saber radiance. It broke the shackles of the void and went straight for the rhinoceros monster. The rhinoceros monster had huge horns. Its 4 limbs shook the ground as it ran towards Yi Qinghan. If it ran like this, it would be enough to smash a Tao master's body. However, Yi Qinghan did not dodge. He sneered and poured his vital essence into his right arm and the demon dragon saber. He borrowed the power of heaven and earth and roared. It was so deafening that it was about to collapse. Soul snatch. Soul snatch with a saber. It snatched the enemy's mind and soul. The demon dragon saber was like lightning. It directly hit the bottom of the rhinoceros horn. The force of the collision soared into the sky. Sand and pebbles flew. No one could calculate the force of the collision between the man and beast. No one could calculate how much force Yi Qinghan had used. However, the scene that followed made the people of Flaming Cloud City roar and cheer. Flipping saber style, Yi Qinghan's right arm suddenly exerted force. The demon dragon saber's aura soared. It lifted the rhinoceros monster that weighed several tons into the air. The rhinoceros monster felt that it had hit an iron mountain. It could not move Yi Qinghan at all. Its horn was about to be broken by the saber. It lost control of its body and fell backward. Just as it was about to regain control of its body, the sound of the guqin suddenly became impatient. It covered the sky and earth. It broke through its consciousness with an unstoppable force and caused it to fall into the crowd of demonic beasts. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air as they looked at Yi Qinghan's weak body. Not only was he able to clash head-on with the rhinoceros monster, he was even able to send it flying. They couldn't help but shudder, wondering if Yi Qinghan was the monster beast or the rhinoceros monster. The moment the rhinoceros monster's soul was suppressed, Yi Qinghan took advantage of the situation. The demon dragon saber left his hand and shouted, 12 forms of the hand saber. Swish, swish, swish. Saber beams shot out in all directions. The air was shattered into pieces. After every saber strike, everyone could clearly see a crack in space. It made their hair stand on end. The rhinoceros hide that was comparable to a 5th-grade armor could not withstand the attack of the demon dragon saber. Immediately, blood splattered everywhere. Miserable cries could be heard. The mournful roars caused the low-grade demonic beasts to frantically flee into the distance. When the god-slaying eagle and the other demonic beasts saw Yi Qinghan was so powerful that the rhinoceros monster could not resist, they could not help but roar in anger. They were all prepared to provide support. Stop them even if you have to risk your life. As long as the rhinoceros monster dies, we will be saved. Xin Yuanyu roared excitedly, his blood boiling. He took the lead, wishing he could immediately kill a god-slaying eagle. The 4-talent formation of the 4 great kings allowed them to advance and retreat naturally. In a short period of time, they were not the least bit inferior to 4th-grade demonic beasts. Lu Patin and the others saw the hope of victory. They placed all their hopes on Yi Qinghan, disregarding the danger and suppressing the other 4th-grade demonic beasts. The demonic saber in Yi Qinghan's hand was even more dazzling. Every saber strike would take away a piece of the rhinoceros monster's flesh. The saber moves were like moving clouds and flowing water, incomparably elegant. The rhinoceros monster did not receive any support. It screamed and rolled around. It wanted to avoid Yi Qinghan's attacks and find a chance to counterattack. But Emperor Ye's long hair fluttered in the wind, her 10 fingers madly strumming the divine zither. Blood and flesh flew from her fingertips, but it could not stop her determined heart from suppressing the rhinoceros monster. The pair of master and disciple worked together seamlessly. The rhinoceros monster rolled around in the demonic beast horde, killing countless weak demonic beasts. This gave the bitter sea and grotto heaven experts a chance to catch their breath. Mountain-breaking stance. After the 12 saber moves were used, Yi Qinghan immediately changed moves. As fast as lightning, the saber stabbed into the rhinoceros monster's throat. The demon dragon saber was indestructible, directly entering the saber hilt. The sharp vital energy crushed the life force of the rhinoceros monster. The powerful 4th-grade demonic beast was on the verge of death, causing the people behind to roar. Many people did not know Yi Qinghan's name, but they knew the name of Emperor Yi on his shoulder. They knew the name of the saber in his hand. Emperor Yi, Azure Dragon, Azure Dragon. The thousands of people were in unison, their morale like a rainbow, their battle intent soaring to the heavens. There was no longer any despair like before. Rise for me. Yi Qinghan waved his saber, directly sending the rhinoceros monster's body flying. The Azure Dragon arm exerted strength, forcibly throwing the mountain-like rhinoceros monster into the center of the demonic beast horde. Like a war god, like a mad demon that had appeared, it made everyone's blood boil, as if they were the ones fighting. Boom boom boom. The rhinoceros monster died tragically on the spot, its corpse rolling hundreds of meters away. All the demonic beasts within 100 meters were crushed to death. The humans had finally turned the tables. The hope of victory had suddenly increased. Dawn had reappeared. Outside the city, the parrot had a smug look on its face. It flew backwards, a wretched look on its face as it taunted the wild tiger. Bald tiger, I can let you have one wing. What can you do to me? Look, I can fly with one wing. In order to stall the wild tiger, the strange parrot really only used one wing to desperately beat the sky. No one knew how it maintained its balance. The wild tiger was so angry that it vomited blood. It roared, its fangs breaking mountains and rivers. It waved its forelimbs and pounced towards the parrot. Chapter 105. Mad Tiger was so angry that he felt dizzy. He waved his forelimbs and smashed them at the parrot. With a roar, he broke an ancient tree. Gravel flew everywhere and covered the sky. Whoosh, the parrot sneered and mocked. Bald tiger, Grandpa Divine Bird can give you a handicap. Look, you can't hit me. Come and get me. Mad Tiger was mad. He had never felt so helpless before. He was being played by a stupid bird. He was not willing to give up. The parrot rushed into the depths of the forest like a sharp sword. Mad Tiger broke mountains and crushed countless ancient trees. In the blink of an eye, They arrived at the cliff where Yi Qinghan had been hiding. The parrot looked down and found the place. It jumped down and approached the cliff. It began to prepare a plan. Mad Tiger seemed to be so angry that he did not realize that there was a cliff a few hundred meters ahead. After all, there was a row of ancient trees in front of the cliff. Hee, I'll kill you, Bald Tiger. Your demon core is very valuable. Grandpa Divine Bird might be able to advance to the Life Palace level after swallowing it. Then I'll be invincible in the Owl Falls Star. Those two god-slaying eagles will become bald eagles and burn you bastards. The parrot shouted in its heart. It pretended to be out of breath, trying to give Mad Tiger some confidence so that it could speed up and pounce on it. This stupid bird was too smart and cunning. Ordinary humans could not fool it, let alone a beast with a lower IQ like Mad Tiger. Mad Tiger was fooled. When he saw that the parrot was out of breath, he was overjoyed. After a roar, he burst out with an even faster speed. Perhaps it was because of the parrot's anger. He turned into a bolt of lightning and pounced on the parrot. The parrot slowed down and charged up. Its consciousness locked onto Mad Tiger and calculated the distance. When it was less than 100 meters away, Mad Tiger pounced on the parrot. Its body shot out like a cannonball and rushed to the top of the cliff that was hundreds of meters wide. However, it did not care. Instead, it bared its fangs and bit at the parrot. The parrot suddenly rose dozens of meters high and flew over Mad Tiger's head. It shouted, "Rabbit Tiger, look below." The wild tiger missed and fell towards the cliff. Its huge eyes couldn't help but reveal a trace of panic. It roared and scratched, trying to find the cliff. However, it was currently in a suspended state and couldn't fly. The strength it erupted with could only temporarily keep it suspended in the air for a breath of time. It was completely useless, making it look particularly comical. A rabbit tiger, how dare you be disrespectful to Grandpa Divine Bird? This is your punishment. The parrot laughed and mocked, "I'll be waiting for you at the bottom of the cliff." After the parrot finished speaking, it swooped down and spat out a mouthful of fire, causing the Mad Tiger to feel pain. Its body fell straight down, its four limbs flailing wildly, but it was unable to stop its descent. Whoosh! A hurried sound of something breaking through the air resounded through the cliff and reverberated in the valleys on both sides. The miserable shriek simply made the heavens and the earth mourn. Mad Tiger's body was huge, and its falling speed was faster than the parrot. It fell 100 meters, but it did not reach the bottom. Mad Tiger roared in anger. A height of 100 meters was enough to paralyze half of its body. If it continued to fall, it might very well fall to its death. The cliff seemed to be far more than 100 meters. The bottom of the cliff was dark and unfathomable. After falling 200 meters, Mad Tiger was in complete despair. There was no way it could survive today. The parrot was not willing to let it go. It kept nagging in its ear. Mad Tiger was mad with anger. If the cliff was any deeper, it would have died before falling to its death. "Rabbit Tiger, call me Grandpa Divine Bird. I'll spare your life." The parrot shouted. Mad Tiger weighed a few tons. Even if it begged for mercy, the parrot could not carry it back to the top of the cliff. It was bullying the tiger. Suddenly, a protruding fulcrum appeared below. Mad Tiger crazily moved its body and its forelimbs grabbed the fulcrum. How could the fulcrum withstand such an impact? It immediately broke. However, there was a smaller fulcrum below. Mad Tiger took the opportunity and opened its mouth. Its fangs pierced into the mountain, and it hung in the air, swaying with the wind. It could not reach the sky, nor could it reach the ground. It was battered and exhausted. The cold wind whistled at the bottom of the cliff. The hairless Mad Tiger shivered. It looked down at the bottom of the cliff. It was still dizzy and could not see the bottom. It looked up again. There was not even half a fulcrum. Unless it had wings, it would be useless even if it did not fall to its death. It was waiting to starve to death. The parrot was stunned. It immediately flapped its little wings and prepared to spit fire to burn the tiger's forelimbs so that it would give up on the fulcrum. However, the tiger hated it to the bone and used one of its arms to climb towards the parrot. The parrot dodged and did not dare to approach Mad Tiger. It landed on a small rock not far above. It looked at Mad Tiger with disdain and said, "What's the use of grabbing the fulcrum? Can you climb up? Or can you climb down? It's better to fall down early and suffer less. The sooner you die, the sooner you can reincarnate. Ooh! Mad Tiger had learned. It was like an angry little wife. It turned its head and did not want to look at the parrot. No matter what the parrot said, it would not respond. When the parrot saw that the other party was unwilling to respond to it, it immediately felt bored. It said speechlessly, "Stupid tiger, you hang here slowly. I'm going to Flaming Cloud City. I'll come back in a few days to collect your corpse. After eating your heart core, I'll find a place to bury your bones. You can rest in peace." The parrot spread its wings and flew away without looking back. In Flaming Cloud City, Yi Qinghan transformed into a god of war. His body emitted a faint glow and waves. After killing the rhinoceros monster, he turned around and pounced on Wild Bear. Tens of thousands of people cheered in excitement. The Fate Palace experts were crying tears of joy. Now that they were on par with the Fate Palace experts, at least they had a chance to escape. Emperor Ye's finger was bleeding. His eyes were red from the pain, but he gritted his teeth and did not want to shed a single tear. "Yes, I can still fight this Wild Bear." Yi Qinghan stopped Wild Bear and said to Emperor Yi, who was on his shoulder. The demon blade emitted a dragon aura and was majestic. Its hair danced wildly, intimidating all the beasts in the sky. Its body seemed weak, but it was like a god of war. No one could fight against it. The humans finally stabilized the situation. Behind them, thousands of Grotto Heaven Realm warriors led hundreds of thousands of Bitter Sea Realm warriors to charge towards Flaming Cloud City. Although there were no Fate Palace Realm warriors, they were still a force that could kill countless beasts. The god-slaying eagle whistled and wanted to call Wild Tiger back. However, the parrot appeared in front of everyone leisurely while Wild Tiger was nowhere to be seen. Yi Qinghan looked at the parrot's smug face and knew that Wild Tiger was unlucky. He could not help but breathe a sigh of relief and asked in a low voice, "Where is Wild Tiger?" It was shaken by this divine bird's divine body, and it fell down a 1,000-meter cliff. It's hanging in the air now. I'll deal with it in a few days when it starves to death or when its physical strength is exhausted, the parrot said arrogantly. Yi Qinghan was speechless. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing if they should believe the parrot. Wild Bear and other beasts glared at the parrot, wanting to devour its flesh and blood. Yi Qinghan knew that although the parrot was thick-skinned, it would not lie to him. Since Wild Tiger could not participate in the battle and reinforcements were coming, they were not bound to lose this battle. "My boys, follow me and kill. Send them back to the Demon Valley." Xinyuan Yu was so excited that his blood was boiling. Boom! The battle started again and the heroes began to counterattack. The Fate Palace warriors opened up another battlefield and the Flaming Cloud City turned into a sea of fire and hell. Warriors and beasts were dying constantly. Most of the human warriors were devoured when they died and the eerie skeletons turned the place into a hell. Bush. Yi Qinghan's momentum was unstoppable. He exchanged 3 blows with the black bear in a row, but they were evenly matched. Every blow was as heavy as 1,000,000 pounds, capable of splitting rocks and severing rivers. However, they were unable to break through the black bear's defense. Wild Bear uprooted the ancient trees and threw them at Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's hair danced wildly in the wind. His upper body was naked and his golden body was extremely dazzling. The devil dragon's saber in his hand emitted a murderous aura. With a swipe of his saber, the mountain collapsed and the ancient trees turned into dust. Gravel flew everywhere and it was as if the end of the world had arrived. Emperor Ye's hair and clothes fluttered in the wind. He closed his eyes to repair his upper body and sat on Yi Qinghan's shoulder without moving an inch. It was as if they were connected. Her bloody fingers became crystal clear once again. She took a deep breath and summoned the heavenly Guqin. As she plucked the strings, the world was in turmoil. However, she was not crazy this time. Instead, she selectively activated Yi Qinghan's qi and blood. The rich sound of the Guqin reverberated between heaven and earth, making people's blood boil and their fighting spirit soar. Yi Qinghan's qi and blood boiled as he listened to the sound of the Guqin. His saber skills became extremely sharp and as fast as lightning. He was invincible. Even after fighting against two fourth-grade Fate Palace realm dire beasts, he did not show any signs of weakness. Instead, he became more and more courageous. His saber skills were strange and seemed to contain the supreme power of law. Every step he took was in harmony with the sound of the guqin, and his body movements were in harmony with heaven and earth. Yi Lingyu glanced at Yi Qinghan's back and was shocked. He had never seen this kind of movement and saber skills before, but it felt familiar. Yi Qinghan was neither too fast nor too slow. It seemed that he was on par with Wild Bear, but in fact he was using the sound of the guqin to create a new skill. In other words, he was having an epiphany. He deliberately did not defeat Wild Bear and was using it as a stepping stone. The true essence in Yi Qinghan's Qi was endless, and his mortal body became increasingly powerful. Slashing out saber after saber strike, Yi Qinghan didn't seem to be exhausted at all. But Wild Bear was being forced back again and again. Every time it blocked Yi Qinghan's attack, it would consume a bit more of its strength. No matter how powerful its mortal body was, it couldn't withstand such consumption. Wild Bear was exhausted. It roared and took the initiative to attack. It wanted to kill Yi Qinghan as soon as possible. Buzz buzz buzz. The sound of the guqin was vast and mighty. It was as if heaven and earth were responding. Fight, fight, fight. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold. He was getting more and more familiar with his moves. Every move and style was natural. He could not help but take a deep breath. He felt that it was time to kill Wild Bear and begin his counterattack. Seize the gods. All Daos are under one saber. When the demon saber strikes, the world will surrender. Kill. His angry roar was like a thunderclap that resounded throughout heaven and earth. The saber cut through the void and blood splattered everywhere. It was so dazzling that people could not open their eyes. Chapter 106. Whooshed at the saber slashed across the sky and blood splattered everywhere. It was so dazzling that everyone could not open their eyes. Roar! A dragon-shaped phantom shot out from the devil dragon saber. It roared in the sky and rolled toward the Wild Bear. The Wild Bear was terrified. Even if the dragon was just a phantom, its aura was not something a fourth-grade beast like it could contend against. The long dragon pressed down on its head, causing its body to kneel on the ground. Boom, dust and sand flew into the air. The area within a radius of several hundred feet was filled with smoke, making it difficult for everyone to open their eyes. Yi Qinghan's right arm was like a dragon emerging from its valley. He gripped the devil dragon saber tightly and slashed down fiercely. Slash! The devil dragon saber slashed through the air like a bolt of lightning, illuminating the world. Roar! The Wild Bear tilted its head and dodged the fatal blow. However, the devil dragon saber struck its shoulder. It roared at the sky and waved its forelimbs wildly toward Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan pulled out his saber and was about to dodge when he realized that the devil dragon saber was stuck. He gave up on the devil dragon saber and clenched his right fist. He swung it toward the Wild Bear's forelimbs. Boom! Everyone was stunned by the sight of a human clashing head-on with the Wild Bear. The shockwave caused Emperor Yi's hair to dance wildly and his body to tilt backward. Yi Qinghan's Azure Dragon arm was torn open by the impact. His entire body was drenched in blood. Zing! Yi Qinghan's body flew backward, his footsteps crushing the ground. However, the moment he flew backward, he reached out and grabbed the Devil Dragon Saber's handle. The Devil Dragon Saber was pulled out smoothly. The Wild Bear screamed miserably as the pain pierced through its bones. Yi Qinghan's body moved backward, allowing Emperor Yi to sit upright. It was a close call, but Emperor Yi did not panic at all. She trusted Yi Qinghan even more than she trusted herself. Yi Qinghan slid across the ground, creating a terrifying gully. Huge flames erupted from the friction between the ground and his body, but Emperor Yi was not tainted in the slightest. After retreating dozens of meters, Yi Qinghan stabbed his saber into the ground and stopped his retreat. He twisted his body and advanced instead of retreating. Boomerang blade. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan's figure spun in midair as fast as lightning, forming a giant whirlpool. The demon dragon's saber radiated radiance in all directions. The final slash tore through the void and rushed towards the river of stars. The real edge of the saber slashed through the head of the Violent Bear, causing blood to splatter in all directions. Violent Bear had just stood up when he was stunned on the spot. His eyes were filled with fear and despair. The sky was completely silent. Everyone was looking at Wild Bear and Yi Qinghan. Both man and beast were motionless. They were more than 10 meters away from each other. It was a very strange sight. Violent Bear was dead. His head was cleaved open by Yi Qinghan. His true essence was vast and mighty, instantly crushing the vitality in his body. It didn't even have time to let out a final roar before its body stiffened in place, its head still hanging from its neck. Screech. Unable to sense Violent Bear's aura, the god-slaying eagle roared, wanting to get a response from Violent Bear. However, with a rush of energy, Violent Bear's head fell to the ground. Its body collapsed with a loud bang, causing the demonic beasts and humans to lose their voices. 6 stars of the Bitter Sea Realm. Was he really only 6 stars of the Bitter Sea Realm? Killing 2 Fate Palace Realm beasts in a row. How could this be called the Bitter Sea Realm? Even if he was fighting someone of a higher realm, this was not the way to do it. However, many people had overestimated Yi Qinghan. After all, there was still a difference between a Fate Palace Realm human and a rank 4 demonic beast that couldn't fly. Yi Qinghan could kill the rhinoceros monster and Violent Bear because his strength was too terrifying. Especially the Azure Dragon arm, it was simply a meat grinder for Fate Palace Realm demonic beasts. Fate Palace Realm beasts that couldn't fly would die if they encountered him. However, once they could fly, they could drag Yi Qinghan to death. Yi Qinghan's right arm was bleeding profusely. The pale golden bones of his arm were clearly visible. He was like a son of God, but he was obviously different from a human. Holding the saber, he slowly retreated. His arm was shining and the wound was quickly healed. Waste blood flew out of his body and essence blood filled with rich spiritual energy gushed out. It was extraordinarily terrifying. Parrot, come and protect me. Yi Qinghan looked down on all living beings and didn't trust anyone. This was the best time to counterattack, but he gave up. He would only help if he had the ability. At this moment, the Azure Dragon arm was severely injured. If he continued to fight, even if he defeated the Beast Tide, he would be in danger. The parrot obediently squatted on Yi Qinghan's shoulder and looked around vigilantly. Emperor Yi was also holding his guqin. Whoever dared to come close would be killed without mercy. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and summoned a large number of mid-grade spiritual crystals. He forcefully absorbed the energy and the spiritual crystals quickly turned into powder. The crowd was stunned. Is he really an ordinary person? Whose sea of qi and body can withstand the power of mid-grade spiritual crystals? Xianyuan Yu's eyes were filled with astonishment. He moved his mouth and stopped talking. The saber in Yi Lingyu's hand kept vibrating as if it was resonating with the Devil Dragon saber. His eyes were like torches as he stared at Yi Qinghan's back. He was getting more and more suspicious. In this world, other than Yi Qinghan, who could use the saber to such an extent? Lu Ning's breathing was rapid. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that Yi Qinghan was unfamiliar. Her forehead was dripping with sweat and her chest was trembling. The god-slaying eagle was completely shocked. There were originally 9 4th-grade ferocious beasts, but now 3 of them were gone in the blink of an eye. And they were all defeated by Yi Qinghan and his spiritual pets. Screech, the eagle screeched and its wings covered the sky. It wanted to kill Yi Qinghan, but it was stopped by Xianyuan Yu and Lu Padian. A great battle was about to break out. Tens of thousands of ferocious beasts roared. It was not easy to break through the defense of the Devil Valley. How could they give up just because of Yi Qinghan? The god-slaying eagle was alert. Xianyuan Yu and the others also wanted to stall for time until Yi Qinghan recovered and killed another Fate Palace Realm ferocious beast. That would be perfect. The parrot was much more well-behaved. It was lucky that it managed to trick a Fate Palace Realm beast. It might not be able to knock the next beast off the cliff with just a shake of its body. If the next beast was a god-slaying eagle, 10 of the parrot would be killed. Yi Qinghan's body shone brightly. His bronze skin looked perfect under the sunlight. He had absorbed at least 20 middle-grade spiritual stones in a row. Such spiritual energy was enough to make someone at the peak of the grotto heaven realm explode. However, for Yi Qinghan, it was only enough for him to recover to the peak. He opened his eyes slightly. It was like a dragon opening its eyes, intimidating all creatures and frightening all ferocious beasts. Even the Fate Palace realm ferocious beasts were scared out of their wits and were unwilling to fight head-on. He took out a black windbreaker from his interspatial ring and put it on. The windbreaker fluttered in the wind, revealing his slender legs. He looked extremely handsome. The devil dragon saber was even more ferocious. He flipped the saber and the cold light was dazzling. Screech, the god-slaying eagles were unwilling to give up. They stopped hesitating and roared in unison. Tens of thousands of ferocious beasts responded and wanted to attack again. Yi Qinghan smirked. A murderous intent swept across the heads of the ferocious beasts. They were so frightened that they retreated and kept growling. Since you want to fight again, let's end this. Either you attack the Owlfall Star or you'll all be slaughtered. Yi Qinghan snorted coldly and turned into a sharp blade that pierced into the hearts of the ferocious beasts. Hee, it's a pity to kill them. I think these two eagles are not bad. Let's capture and tame them. In the future, we won't have to waste so much energy flying around, the parrot said arrogantly. The parrot's way of thinking was strange. Other people tamed ferocious beasts to help them in battle, but the parrot wanted to save some energy for itself. The god-slaying eagles were much smarter than other ferocious beasts. They had extremely high intelligence. When they heard the parrot's clamor, they tore the void with their sharp claws and roared at the parrot. They did not care whether the parrot's bloodline was high or not and directly pounced on Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan raised his blade and his aura exploded. His clothes fluttered and affected the surrounding laws. The wind whistled and he pointed his long blade at the god-slaying eagle. The god-slaying eagle's figure stopped abruptly. It was dozens of meters away from Yi Qinghan, but Xianyuan Yu did not stop it. He hoped that Yi Qinghan could kill one of the god-slaying eagles. Then, the humans would definitely win today. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan could not win. He could only take advantage of the situation and use the aura of a great martial venerable to suppress the god-slaying eagle. The aura suppressed the heavens and the earth. Not only the god-slaying eagle, even Xianyuan Yu found it difficult to breathe. All creatures were in awe and did not dare to look directly at him for fear of blaspheming the god in front of them. Retreat! The low voice was like thunder. The explosion made everyone tremble and goosebumps rise. Arrogant. Too arrogant. No one below the realm of Tao Master dared to use such a tone to speak to the god-slaying eagle. Xianyuan Yu also did not dare to say that he could kill the god-slaying eagle alone. But Yi Qinghan, with the 6 stars of the bitter sea, dared to say so, and the god-slaying eagle did not fly into a rage. The god-slaying eagle's pupils shrank, as if it was being stared at by a Tao Master. It had never seen anyone who could release such an aura. It was not that it was timid, but Yi Qinghan's aura was too terrifying. The stalwart body was rising. Although it was still so tall, it looked as if Yi Qinghan was indomitable. Xianyuan Yu was overjoyed and could not help but shout, "Fellow Yi, please kill this evil beast. We will counterattack." Yi Qinghan was speechless. He could not fly and was not a real Tao Insight Realm cultivator. How could he be compared with the god-slaying eagle? It was already good enough to suppress it in terms of aura, but he still wanted to counterattack? Everything has spirituality. The more you kill, the more inner demons you have. It's not good for your realm. Let's stop and guard our own continent. Don't invade each other. Yi Qinghan pretended to be compassionate, but in fact he really had no choice. Once it was exposed that he could not fight against flying experts, who knew if these Fate Palace cultivators would become his enemies. Even those Tao Insight Realm cultivators would wait for an opportunity to kill him and snatch his cultivation method. The parrot curled its lips and secretly said, "Pretentious. If you can kill, you are more arrogant than me." And arrogant. Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at the parrot. Only then did the parrot remember that its thoughts were not a secret to Yi Qinghan, so it hurriedly shrank its head and smiled embarrassedly. Xianyuan Yu and the others were unwilling. This was a great opportunity to counterattack. How could they give up so easily? Fellow Yi, in this battle, many heroes have died tragically in the mouths of the ferocious beasts. Hundreds of thousands of mortals, hundreds of thousands of Bitter Sea Realm cultivators, tens of thousands of Tao Insight Realm cultivators, and 7 Fate Palace cultivators have all died in their mouths. Why should we give up this opportunity? What status do you have to represent the hundreds of millions of creatures of the Owl Fall continent to negotiate peace with the Demon Valley continent? How will you face those heroes who have died? Tang Sheng angrily scolded. Yi Qinghan frowned and sneered. Since you are not willing to negotiate peace, then let's fight. I will not intervene in the battle between Fate Palace cultivators. Yi Qinghan's words stunned Xin Yuanyu and the others. Even Lu Podin was somewhat dissatisfied. Fellow Yi, you are after all a human race cultivator of the Owl Fall continent. Do you want to watch countless heroes die tragically? Where is your king's style? Where is the heart of an expert? Do you still deserve to be called a human race cultivator? Tang Sheng questioned with a cold face. Chapter 107. Fellow Taoist Yi, you're a human powerhouse on Owl Fall planet after all. Are you going to watch countless heroes die tragically? Where is your kingly demeanor? Where is the heart of a powerhouse? Do you still deserve to be called a human powerhouse? Tang Sheng questioned. Tang Sheng's question represented all the Fate Palace powerhouses on Owl Falling Planet. Since ancient times, humans had been at odds with the monsters in Devil Valley. They would kill on sight and never negotiate peace. Yi Qinghan had the ability to help humans win, but he was unwilling to do so. He had offended many people in an instant. Yi Qinghan looked coldly at the crowd before him. Some people were just too greedy. He had helped Xiao Yunqing because he didn't want to see the common people suffer and die tragically. However, this was on the premise that he didn't put himself in danger. Now that he was about to expose his bottom line, giving up was the best choice. However, they were still pushing their luck. They were shameless. I don't need you to judge whether I have the heart of a powerhouse or the kingly demeanor. I only do what I want to do. If you think you can fight back, then kill these Fate Palace powerhouses. As for the normal monsters, leave them to me. Yi Qinghan was disdainful. Some people were always greedy. After getting some, they would want more. They were shameless. At this moment, the god-slaying eagle no longer dared to move recklessly. Yi Qinghan was not willing to make a move now. If it forced Yi Qinghan to make a move, then it would be too foolish. It would be seeking its own death by forcing Yi Qinghan to lead the human race to counterattack the Demon Valley. Are you scared? Can't defeat the god-slaying eagle? Or maybe you can't fly and don't want to expose your bottom line. Tang Sheng's eyes shone brightly as he revealed his guess. He did not give Yi Qinghan any face and was not afraid of the god-slaying eagle finding out. It was as if he was reminding the god-slaying eagle that Yi Qinghan was just a mortal who looked good but was useless. He was not a god. He wanted both of them to suffer losses. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He was so angry that he laughed and said in a low voice, "If that's what you think, you can try and see if I can kill you." Originally, they were still in the same camp, but now, they were at loggerheads with killing intent everywhere. Xin Yuanyu was shocked and somewhat dissatisfied with Tang Sheng's attitude. Even if his guess was correct, he couldn't say it in front of countless ominous beasts. Not to mention, there were countless experts of Owl Falling Star here. Wouldn't such a statement be pushing Yi Qinghan to a dead end? Brother Tang, you've gone too far. In any case, fellow Taoist Yi is our savior. He helped us out of goodwill, but it's also his freedom to not help us. Aren't you being a vile person who bites the hand that feeds him? Lu Padian saw the cold light in Yi Qinghan's eyes and immediately warned him. Maybe Yi Qinghan had some relationship with Lu Outyin and wanted to fight for it. I'm going overboard? Wasn't it too much to betray others? The ground was filled with corpses. He wants to negotiate peace. What is his intention? Tang Sheng spoke righteously as if he was the savior of the world. His words were fierce, but he was speaking for the dead. Immediately, a group of people resonated with him. The parrot was speechless. It looked at Yi Qinghan and said, "Master, how can there be such a shameless weirdo in this world? This face, Tsk, I'm ashamed of my inferiority. This face can be used as a great defensive formation, absolutely unbreakable. Tang Sheng's old face changed and coldly glanced at the parrot. What are you looking at? So what if you can fly? This divine bird is not afraid of you. However, this divine bird once said something. Do you want to know? The parrot said disdainfully. This king has no interest in talking to a beast like you. This old man will represent the common people and the dead to ask you, are you willing to prepare for war or kneel down and beg for peace with the demonic beasts? Tang Sheng coldly looked at Yi Qinghan, his face full of disdain towards the parrot. Fuck your ancestors. When I helped you kill Wild Tiger, you cheered. In the blink of an eye, you turned against me and burned the bridge after crossing the river. You're even more shameless than me. This old man once said that people who are more shameless than me will die. You will too. Believe me, because I'm already angry. The parrot was extremely angry. It was not like Yi Qinghan who could endure. The atmosphere in Flaming Cloud City was strange. Originally, there were 2 sides, but now there were 3 sides. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold and emotionless. He looked at some people who were sparing no effort to criticize him as if they were the saviors and he was the bad guy who betrayed humanity. He could not help but grin coldly. Tang Sheng, you're too much. Without them, we would have died long ago. Even if you don't thank us, you don't have to attack us with such filthy words. Lu Padian coldly scolded. Xin Yuan Yu and the others had ugly expressions. If they were to fall out with Yi Qinghan at this time, it would definitely be a loss for the human race. If they angered Yi Qinghan, he might just leave, and the outcome of today's battle would be unknown. Taoist Tang Sheng, please apologize to Taoist Yi Qinghan and the Divine Bird. For the future of Owl Falling Star, please apologize sincerely. Otherwise, Owl Falling Star will be destroyed because of you. Xin Yuan Yu did not want to offend Yi Qinghan, so he could only offend Tang Sheng. Tang Sheng stood on the moral high ground and used humanity's righteousness to criticize Yi Qinghan. However, he did not expect to be countered by Xin Yuan Yu. If he did not apologize, the responsibility of Owl Falling Star's defeat would be all on Tang Sheng. Seeing Tang Sheng criticizing Yi Qinghan, the god-slaying eagle calmed down and retreated with the 10,000 beasts. It was ready to let both sides suffer. At least, it had to break their alliance. Yi Qinghan saw Tang Sheng showing his bottom line in front of him and couldn't help but smile coldly. His aura rose and he looked down at Tang Sheng with disdain. He sneered, Tang Sheng, don't use humanity's righteousness to pressure me. If it wasn't for the innocent people of Owl Falling Star, do you think I would have done it? What does the death of a shameless person like you have to do with me? 1 second, you received our kindness. The next moment, you humiliated us. You're a bitch and you still want to pretend to be chaste. What right do you have to pressure me with righteousness? Do you think I care about their accusations? When I helped Owl Falling Star, I didn't think about repaying them. However, when you repay kindness with enmity, don't blame me for being ruthless. The demon blade shone coldly. Yi Qinghan was on the verge of exploding in anger. If it wasn't for the god-slaying eagle and the other demonic beasts nearby, he would have killed Tang Sheng today. The divine power of a Tao master was vast and mighty. His eyes were intimidating. His clothes were fluttering and his long hair was flying. His clear eyes saw through the evilness of human nature. Yi Qinghan suppressed his emotions. He was neither sad nor happy. Tang Sheng's breathing stagnated. He was intimidated by Yi Qinghan and did not dare to push him too far. He was afraid that Yi Qinghan would directly side with the demonic beasts and take the opportunity to kill him. If that happened, there would be no one to help him. I agree with fellow Taoist Ye's idea of peace. Now we're evenly matched. Even if we counterattack, both of us will suffer. It will only increase the number of casualties. Yi Lingyu's cold blade was shiny and threatening. Although he was only in the Grotto Heaven realm, he was not inferior to the Fate Palace realm. Looking at Yi Qinghan's profile, he thought for a moment and decided to speak up for Yi Qinghan. Then he continued, fellow Taoist Tang Sheng, you don't distinguish between right and wrong. You just casually accused this parrot that helped us and insulted fellow Taoist. I really don't understand your intentions. Do you want to test his bottom line and true strength? If fellow Taoist Yi wins, you can take most of the credit. If he loses, you'll take the opportunity to fight for the secret skill? Yi Lingyu's aura exploded. His words were sharp and went straight to Tang Xing's heart. Tang Xing's body trembled and his face turned ugly. He shouted angrily, "Ignorant junior, I'm speaking up for the dead fellow Taoist. I'm speaking up for the souls of Owl Falling Star. You're not from Owl Falling Star. Of course you don't care about their lives. What a joke. You're fighting for Owl Falling Star. Aren't fellow Taoist Yi and I the same? If we don't care about the lives of so many people, do you really think you can stop us if we leave? Do you dare to stop us? This is the first time I've seen such a shameless person who bites the hand that feeds him." Lu Ning also stood up and scolded coldly. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu were powerful. Not only were they kings, but they also had a fifth-rank family behind them. Even if Tang Xing's strength was extraordinary, he wouldn't dare to do anything to them. At this moment, he was criticized until his face turned red, but he couldn't refute. Although Lu Ning and the others weren't from Owl Falling Star, they were fighting for Owl Falling Star. They were standing on the moral high ground. In addition, the forces behind them were powerful. Everyone could only be grateful, but they didn't dare to criticize them. However, Yi Qinghan was different. He was from Owl Falling Star. It was natural for him to fight for Owl Falling Star. No matter how much Yi Qinghan sacrificed, they wouldn't take it to heart. This was the human heart. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and glanced at the crowd. He knew that today's matter didn't leave a favor behind. Instead, he offended some people. The corner of his mouth twitched. He looked at the god-slaying eagle and a bright light flashed in his eyes. A plan emerged in his mind. Since he offended Tang Xing, he had to show his goodwill to Lu Padian. If he could get Xin Yuanyu, he would. If not, it didn't matter. Everyone, I agree with the counterattack. However, since Tang Xing is so confident and wants to avenge our dead friends, it seems like he has the confidence to win. How about we ask him to deal with the god-slaying eagle? Yi Qinghan asked indifferently. Everyone looked at Tang Xing. His face turned purple. The god-slaying eagle's strength wasn't something an ordinary person could deal with. Unless the Qinglong Taoist was reborn, who would dare to say that they could kill the god-slaying eagle in the Fate Palace realm? However, rejecting Yi Qinghan's suggestion at this time was like slapping his own face. "What? Brother Tang Xing, you just said that you were generous and wanted to avenge the dead. Now you don't say anything. Are you hoping that we will go to our deaths and you will take advantage of us?" Yi Qinghan's simple words were full of sarcasm. Tang Xing was burning with anger. He looked at the countless experts of Owl Falling Star who were looking at him with anticipation. He didn't know what to say. "Tang Xing, you just said that we don't care about our dead friends and that we don't care about Owl Falling Star. Now it's your turn. Say something in front of everyone," Lu Ning asked. Yi Qinghan's move was absolutely vicious. He wanted to use someone else to do his dirty work. As long as Tang Xing dared to agree, even if the god-slaying eagle couldn't kill him, he would kill him in secret. It seems like you don't want to counterattack. I can't do anything alone. Even if I agree now, I will fail. Fine, I will let go of this great opportunity and rest first." Tang Xing pretended to be arrogant and said coldly, "Shameless." Pooh. The parrot sneered unceremoniously. Tang Xing stared at the parrot and Yi Qinghan. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes, but it was quickly concealed. Tang Xing had the intent to kill, but Yi Qinghan's intent to kill was even stronger. However, he didn't show it. The tense atmosphere changed to one of intrigue. The god-slaying eagle saw that it did not have much of a chance and was unwilling to fight Yi Qinghan to the death, so it could only retreat with the 10,000 beasts. Yi Qinghan swept a glance at everyone and immediately stepped out of the dilapidated fire cloud city. A few figures flashed and disappeared. 1 hour later, they blocked off the god-slaying eagle's countless beast horde 500 miles southwest of Fire Cloud City. The two of them, one with a saber and one with a guqin, stood proudly in the cold wind. The aura of Dao Venerables filled the air. They stared at the powerful beasts and refused to retreat. Chapter 108. The two of them stood proudly in the cold wind with a saber and a guqin. They stared at the powerful beasts and refused to take a step back. Screech, the god-slaying eagles screeched and glared at Yi Qinghan. They had already retreated, but he was still chasing them. Was he forcing them to fight with their lives? God-slaying eagles, I know you can understand what I'm saying. Ask them to retreat to the demonic valley first. I'll make a deal with the two of you alone. I promise you'll be satisfied. Let's see if you dare. Yi Qinghan held the devil's dragon saber tightly. He looked casual, but there were no flaws. As soon as the beasts attacked, he would use the ultimate dragon steps to escape. The god-slaying eagles growled and looked at Yi Qinghan in confusion. They did not know what he was going to do. The silver python that was hundreds of feet long moved its body and raised its head, ready to attack. The winged panther arched its back, ready to unleash its terrifying power at any time. The other two fourth-grade Fate Palace ferocious beasts glared at Yi Qinghan, eager to devour his flesh. The god-slaying eagles were cautious. If Yi Qinghan wanted to fight, he would have joined forces with the other Fate Palace warriors to kill them. Now that he was facing them alone, he must have other plans. Screech! Screech! The two god-slaying eagles screeched at the same time, ordering the other beasts to leave and face Yi Qinghan alone. The other Fate Palace beasts stared at Yi Qinghan, Emperor Yi, and the parrot. The blood of the two humans and the beast was fatally attractive to them. However, they were intimidated by Yi Qinghan's aura and the god-slaying eagle's orders. They turned and left reluctantly. After a long time, only the two god-slaying eagles, Yi Qinghan, his disciple, and the parrot were left within a 1,000-meter radius. Yi Qinghan stared at the descending god-slaying eagles in the cold wind and said in a deep voice, "Let's make a deal. Be my spiritual pet for 3 years and I'll give you the method to evolve your 5th-grade bloodline. After 3 years, I will voluntarily give up the spiritual pet contract." Humans trading with the god-slaying eagle was no different from asking a tiger for its skin. But now they had no choice but to do so. Not being able to fly was Yi Qinghan's most fatal weakness. Even a Grotto Heaven realm human would find it difficult to contend with him. Once the other party discovered him, 2 or 3 Grotto Heaven realm experts would be able to drag him to death. Screech, the god-slaying eagles were taken aback, and a bright light shot out from their eyes. It was obvious that they were interested, but they were not willing to be spirit pets, and they did not trust humans. The eagles said they don't believe you. They said they can trade in another way, but they don't agree to be your pet, the parrot explained while shrugging its head. Yi Qinghan smirked and said disdainfully, "I'm not interested in other things. If you want to trade, then trade. If you don't want to trade, then forget it." The god-slaying eagle was stunned. It did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so ruthless. It was at a loss for what to do. There was a fundamental difference between a 5th-grade spirit beast and a 4th-grade ferocious beast. Firstly, there was a fundamental difference in intelligence. 5th-grade spirit beasts could take human form, speak human language, and cultivate secret techniques. Evolving a high-level bloodline was fatally attractive to the god-slaying eagle. Yi Qinghan naturally understood, so he was not willing to let the god-slaying eagle go overboard. He said again, "This spirit-engulfing godly parrot has an ancient bloodline. It's already a 5th-grade spirit beast, and it's willing to be my pet. As for the rest of you, if I wasn't guarding against Fate Palace realm humans, I wouldn't bother to take you as my pet. If you don't trust me, then leave." Yi Qinghan turned and left after he finished speaking, not giving the god-slaying eagle a chance to speak. The god-slaying eagle's interest was piqued. How could it let Yi Qinghan leave just like that? It immediately flapped its wings and ran in front of Yi Qinghan, calling out incessantly. As an experienced spirit beast, the parrot obviously understood what it was saying. It murmured and then explained, "They said, if you have something to say it slowly. Since it's a trade, we can express our sincerity. Maybe we can talk about it." Yi Qinghan suddenly smiled. How could such a creature's psychology hide from an old fox like him? No matter what, he was still a peerless genius in his previous life, the supreme warlord of the Xiaolong region. "I'll only say it once. If you agree, then agree. If you don't, then forget it." Yi Qinghan said calmly, as if he did not care about the two powerful spirit beasts at all. He glanced at the god-slaying eagle and said seriously, "If you form a contract with me and my disciple, you can borrow our high-level bloodline to nurture your own. I'll grant you the shape-shifting skill. As long as you have the materials, I can even refine the shape-shifting elixir for you. As long as you can take human form and open up your knowledge sea, you can cultivate secret techniques and develop toward a truly high-level creature. After 3 years, I'll automatically release you from the contract and let you leave." The more Yi Qinghan spoke, the more excited the god-slaying eagle became. Shape-shifting skill, shape-shifting elixir, these were not things that anyone could have or know. As for whether you can trust me or not, I don't think you need to trust me. If I can't do what I'm saying now, you can just kill your master and perish together with us. Now, it depends on whether you dare to gamble. If you don't dare to gamble with your life in order to reach the peak, I advise you to stop cultivating. Be a ruler with peace of mind and wait for your time to come. Attacking the human territory will also bring you calamity, Yi Qinghan said coldly. The god-slaying eagle's eyes were sharp, and divine light rippled as they communicated with each other. They were a couple, and it was obvious that they trusted each other very much. Yi Qinghan was not in a hurry. He had grasped the weakness of these demonic beasts. He could do whatever he wanted without any pressure. In the Huiyun city, a large number of experts began to clean up the battlefield. Many of the corpses of the demonic beasts had become treasures. Even the Life Palace experts began to fight for them. However, most of them had their eyes on the savage bear and the rhinoceros. Their fur was enough to refine a grade 4 armor, or even a low-grade grade 5 armor. Grade 4 spiritual weapons and even grade 5 combat weapons could not break through it. If it were not for Yi Qinghan's Devil Dragon Saber, Berserk, and Azure Dragon Arm, even he would not have been able to break through the defense of the savage bear and the rhinoceros. How do we split the savage bear and the rhinoceros? Xian Yuan Yu's eyes flashed with greed as he asked. Of course, we'll split it equally. We'll split it into 5, and each of us will take 1. Tang Sheng looked at the savage bear's head greedily. Not only did he have his eyes on the savage bear and the rhinoceros skin, but he also had his eyes on the savage bear's demon core and the rhinoceros horn. A grade 4 demon core contained a lot of power, and the rhinoceros horn was the material for a grade 5 combat weapon. The Life Palace experts naturally had no objections to Tang Sheng's distribution, but Lu Padian was not willing. Now that Yi Qinghan was not here, he had to get a share for him as a sign of goodwill. Wait, Brother Yi killed the savage bear and the rhinoceros. He should be the one to decide how to distribute them, not us, right? Lu Padian said in a deep voice. A rookie at the Bitter Sea realm who only relied on brute force. How can we let him squander such treasures? It's a great loss to the human race. Tang Xing said unhappily. Dongfang Yu and the others quickly nodded. They supported Tang Sheng and did not want to let go of the savage bear and the rhinoceros corpses. Xian Yuan Yu was in a difficult position. He still had some conscience. Yi Qinghan had just killed so many people, but now he did not get a share of the treasures. When he came back, wouldn't there be a fight? Why don't we give him some? The rhinoceros horn and demon core are not his, but we leave some skin for him. How about that? Xian Yuan Yu asked tentatively. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning looked at each other and could not help but sneer. These people were too shameless. Even if they did not give Yi Qinghan a share, there should be a share for the 2 kings. Brother Lu Ning and I want the rhinoceros horn. We also want a share of the rhinoceros and savage bear skin. If you don't want to give it to us based on your strength, then go ahead and try. Yi Lingyu shouted. What a joke. 2 juniors are so arrogant. Do you think there's no one in the Owl Falling Star? Tang Xing was furious. The rhinoceros horn was the most precious thing. How could he give it to them? If we didn't stop you, you would have been devoured by the god-slaying eagle. Would you still be alive to split the treasures? Lu Ning asked disdainfully. Tang Xing was burning with anger. He did not want to take the risk to fight the god-slaying eagle, but he wanted to snatch the treasures with all his might. Brother Yi and Brother Lu are indebted to the Owl Falling Star, so there's nothing wrong with splitting the treasures. However, the rhinoceros horn is a material for a 5th grade combat weapon. It's not appropriate for you two juniors to take it. You can have an extra share of the fur, but you must leave the rhinoceros horn behind. What do you think? Xin Yuan Yu was an old fox. He still wanted to curry favor with the Lu family. Obviously, he did not want to offend Lu Ning and the people behind Yiling Yu. What if we insist on the rhinoceros horn? Lu Ning asked coldly. Impossible. Don't even think about touching the rhinoceros horn. The demon core is also out of the question. It's already good enough that you can use the fur to make some soft armor. Don't say that we're bullying you. Dong Fangyu stood out and said coldly. That's right. Don't even think about touching the rhinoceros horn or the demon core. This belongs to my brother. He killed 2 4th-grade Fate Palace beasts, so the credit belongs to him. We'll split it according to his contribution. Don't even think about touching it. Lu Outyin said in a muffled voice. Ignorant junior, you don't have the right to speak. If it weren't for Brother Potin, I would have killed you with my sword. Tang Sheng scolded disdainfully. Lu Outyin's face turned ugly. He clenched his fists and took a deep breath. He had to swallow his anger. Revenge was a dish best served cold. Once he cultivated the great reincarnation sword art, killing a Fate Palace cultivator would be a piece of cake. You can try. If you use your sword with your left hand, I'll cut your left hand. If you use your right hand, I'll cut your right hand. If you touch even a strand of hair on my brother's head, I'll cut off your head. A thunderclap exploded. The warriors who were dividing the treasures stopped and looked into the distance. Who else could it be but Yi Qinghan? Yi Qinghan pulled Emperor Yi with his left hand and held the devil's dragon saber with his right hand. He rode the parrot on his shoulder and walked with the wind. His long hair fluttered behind him. His aura was overwhelming. How arrogant! Since you don't care about the fur, don't even think about taking it away. Don't even touch a strand of hair on the rhinoceros and the bear. Those are my trophies. If you dare touch them, I'll cut off your heads. The hoarse voice contained a supreme will. It was terrifying. It was like a divine saber hanging in the sky, ready to fall and destroy the stars. The arrogant voice filled the flaming cloud city. He didn't take the Fate Palace cultivators seriously. The terrifying aura suppressed the warriors so much that they didn't dare to move. They didn't even dare to take the fur and demon cores of the low-level beasts for fear of angering Yi Qinghan. Chapter 109. The flaming cloud city was dead silent. Everyone stood still and looked at Yi Qinghan. They clenched their swords and sabers, but no one dared to fight for the corpses of the beasts, even though a 3rd-grade beast was worth more than 10 mid-grade spiritual crystals. Gulp! Everyone swallowed their saliva and waited for the battle between the Fate Palaces to end. Tang Xing was greedy and wanted to fight for the rhinoceros horn and the beast core. However, Yi Qinghan was even more ruthless. He would not give them a single strand of hair from the 2 4th-grade beasts. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi to the flaming cloud city. He held his saber horizontally and stood in front of the rhinoceros and the bear. His eyes were filled with determination. Brother Yi, you're too arrogant. Killing 4th-grade beasts is not something you can do alone. Without us stopping the other 4th-grade beasts, do you think you have a chance to kill the rhinoceros and the bear? If you want to take the treasures for yourself, you have to ask for our permission. Tang Sheng's aura exploded as he confronted Yi Qinghan. Dong Fangyu and Situ Feng immediately stood by Tang Sheng's side. Their attitude was clear. Lu Potin stood on Yi Qinghan's side without hesitation. Whether or not they could form a relationship with Yi Qinghan would depend on today's battle. Xin Yuan Yu was in a difficult position. If he were to pick a side now, it would be difficult for either of them to gain an advantage if a fight broke out. What was more important was Yi Qinghan's strength. If he had a hidden trump card, such as a life palace that could allow him to fly or kill humans, wouldn't he be courting death if he stood on the other side? Everyone, please calm down. We shouldn't be fighting among ourselves right after the calamity. As the saying goes, the treasures belong to those who are fated. How about we share them equally? Brother Yi contributed the most, and I support him to take the bigger share. Xin Yuan Yu was a sly old fox. He did not want to offend Yi Qinghan, but he also wanted to get some benefits, so he chose to be neutral. No, I already said that I killed the rhinoceros and the bear. Don't even think about taking them. Otherwise, you'll have to ask for my saber's permission. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Arrogant. Today, I'll fight you and see how strong you are. Tang Xing sneered. The spiritual sword in his hand exploded and sword qi shot out in all directions. Dongfang Yu and Situ Feng followed closely behind. Their auras erupted and astral winds howled. Ah, good. If you want to take the treasures, you'll have to see if you have the ability to do so. Defeat me and these treasures will all be yours. If you lose, prepare to die. Yi Qinghan laughed maniacally. The dragon qi of the demon dragon saber surged. With a flip of the saber, even though it was a demonic saber, it had a berserk aura. Grown, Lu Patin gritted his teeth and decided to attack. His sword pierced through the clouds as he pointed at Tang Xing's group and said in a low voice, Brother Tang, if you dare to attack, don't blame me for attacking as well. Let's talk on the sword of life and death. 3 against 2. Brother Lu, think carefully before you pick a side. You still have Lu Lan behind you. Dongfang Yu threatened coldly. Then don't forget that you still have the state government of Qing and the Dongfang and Situ families behind you. Lu Padian said coldly. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he looked at Xianyuan Yu coldly. Now, it was time to see what Xianyuan Yu's attitude was. If he was going to kill them, he would kill them all. Xianyuan Yu smiled bitterly. At this moment, neither side would allow him to stand in the middle. However, which side to choose was a big problem. Tang Xing had 3 people and Yi Qinghan had 2. If he chose Tang Xing, it would be 2 against 1. It would be easy for him to win. However, deep down, Xianyuan Yu was inexplicably afraid of Yi Qinghan. He did not want to be his enemy. Everyone, we're all from the same clan. We're weak to begin with. As Fate Palace powerhouses, you should think for the common people. Why do you have to kill each other for treasures? Xianyuan Yu said helplessly. It's not that I want to fight, it's just that he's too arrogant. I admit that he was able to kill the rhinoceros monster, wild bear. However, without us, could he have killed it? Now, he wants to take all the credit for himself and is so arrogant. I can't accept this. Tang Xing shouted angrily as if he had been wronged. Swish, so what? If you don't like it, you can come and take it. Yi Qinghan did not care. He waved his hand and put the rhinoceros horn into his interspatial ring. Then he swung his sword and took out the demon core in Wild Bear's head. He then took out the demon core of Wild Bear and the rhinoceros monster. He was as fast as lightning and did not give anyone a chance to react. Tang Xing's face turned pale as if he had swallowed a fly. Now that the best treasures had been taken away by Yi Qinghan, there had to be blood if he wanted to take them back. Yi Qinghan did not bother to look at Tang Xing and the rest. He kicked away the dismembered body of Wild Bear and threw it into the crowd. Since the Fate Palace powerhouses don't care about the meat, you can have it. The flesh of a grade 4 monster was rich in blood and was the best for replenishing energy and blood. How could the Fate Palace powerhouses not care about it? It was just that they cared more about the rhinoceros horn, demon core, and fur. Looking at the bloody flesh of Wild Bear and rhinoceros monster, the Fate Palace powerhouses no longer cared about the Fate Palace powerhouses' murderous stares. Since Yi Qinghan had given them away, they would be idiots if they did not take it. In an instant, at least 100 Fate Palace powerhouses pounced on the grade 4 monster's flesh. They tore off as many pieces as they could and put them all into their interspatial rings. Go away. This thigh is all mine. A powerful Fate Palace powerhouse who was in the 4th step of the Fate Palace powerhouse pushed away a weaker Fate Palace powerhouse next to him and hacked at the Wild Bear's hind legs. Since the weaker ones could not compete, they could only go for the less important parts. Even the most ordinary parts were much better than the flesh of a grade 3 monster. Hundreds of people fought over the bodies. In less than half an hour, the bodies of Wild Bear and rhinoceros monster were completely divided. Even the bones were taken away. Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning smiled bitterly. Yi Qinghan was too arrogant. If you don't want to share the fur, rhinoceros horn, and demon core, you should at least leave the flesh and bones to us. Now, not even a single strand of hair was left. Lu Padian and Xin Yuanyu thought that Yi Qinghan was too arrogant. He did not care about the Fate Palace powerhouses at all. Yi Qinghan looked at Tang Xing with contempt as if he was saying, "What can you do to me?" The parrot was even more smug. It didn't mind watching the show and couldn't wait for Yi Qinghan to trample everyone under his feet. If someone's face was used as a defensive array, even a Tao Master-level spiritual beast would not be able to break it. His face turned red and purple. He even got angry. The parrot looked at Tang Xing. Its words were enough to make people angry. Are they forcing me to make a move? He looks like he has no scruples. Can he really kill us? Tang Xing had a strange look on his face as he stared at Yi Qinghan. Whoever made the first move would not stand on the moral high ground, as they would be condemned by the world. Even those at the Life Palace level would be despised. Dongfang Yu and Sidu Feng were also very cautious. Xin Yuanyu was not on their side. If they really fought, both sides would suffer. If they made the first move, they would have a hard time in the future. Yi Qinghan did not make the first move because he knew that he would have to stay on the Owl Fall planet for a while. He did not want to be surrounded by enemies. If he used the God-slaying eagle now, some people would spread rumors that he was the one who ordered the God-slaying eagle to lead thousands of beasts to attack the human territory. By then, he would not be able to defend himself. Both sides had their scruples. It was difficult for them to fight under such circumstances. Tang Xing did not get anything. He could not help but groan. This person's appearance is strange. I've never heard of him before. I have to find out where he came from. Then, I'll gather the powerhouses from the big families who are nearing the end of their lives to suppress him. I'll let him go for now. Thinking of this, Tang Xing left. Dongfang Yu and the others followed closely behind. Once the Fate Palace cultivator left, the fight for the beasts' bodies became even fiercer. Some people even drew their swords. It was very likely that a fight would break out. Ling Chen, Lu Outyen, and the others joined in the fight. These were rare treasures. Normally, no one would dare to go to the Demon Valley to kill beasts unless they had a death wish. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu did not move. They kept staring at Yi Qinghan. The doubts and suspicions in their hearts grew. Yi Qinghan smirked. He whispered, "Are the two of you curious about my identity? If you're not afraid, then follow me out of the city." Yi Qinghan turned around and left Flaming Cloud City with Emperor Yi. Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu frowned. They spread their wings and followed closely behind. They were getting further and further away from Flaming Cloud City. The four of them gradually disappeared under the distant sky. Lu Padian and Xin Yuanyu looked at each other and could not help but smile bitterly. "Brother Lu, you stood on Brother Ye's side so strongly. Tell me the truth. Did you know him before? Where did he come from?" Xin Yuanyu asked Lu Padian. Lu Padian was helpless. He chose Yi Qinghan based on his intuition. Moreover, he had a layer of relationship with Lu Outyen. When Xin Yuanyu asked, he could only shake his head. Then, Xin Yuanyu and Lu Padian looked at Lu Outyen. Their sharp eyes made him tremble. "Outyen, who is that Brother Yi? How did you know him?" Lu Padian asked seriously. Lu Outyen's expression changed. Without Yi Qinghan's consent, he obviously would not tell the truth. He looked at Yi Mingxi and cupped his fists. "Old ancestor, Senior Xin Yuan, it's better for you to wait for Brother Yi to come back and ask him personally. I can only say that I'm sorry. I have no comment." "You can't even tell me?" Lu Potion's face darkened as he asked in a low voice. Lu Outyen did not hesitate to shake his head. He chose to remain silent. On the road to the east of Flaming Cloud City, Qin Haoren was crazily chasing after Tang Xing and company. The hatred in his heart made him completely lose his mind. Tang Xing was not in a hurry. He was slowly moving forward to discuss countermeasures with Dongfang Yu and Situ Feng. Halfway there, Qin Haoren caught up. "Seniors, please take care. I have information that you want to know." Qin Haoren's face was ferocious. He wanted Tang Xing and Co. to immediately kill Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. Tang Xing and Co. were stunned. Seeing Qin Haoren rushing over, they were immediately overjoyed. Emperor Yi was Qin Shi Huang and was related to Qin clan. Then her master would naturally be related to Qin clan. Qin Haoran chasing over clearly knew something. So it's Qin clan's brat. What do you want to tell us? Tang Sheng pretended not to know and asked indifferently. Chapter 110. So it's the kid from the Qin clan. What do you want to tell us? Tang Sheng pretended not to know and asked indifferently. Qin Haoran adjusted his aura and restrained his hatred for Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. He cupped his fists and said, I know Yi Qinghan's background. He comes from a small town in the Qingyang kingdom and has no family background. The kid next to Lu Aoyan is called Yi Mingxi, his sister. Wang is his mother. The maid next to him is called Jian Chenxua. His body is very strong and he can't fly. He can only rely on his explosive power to fight against Tao Insight Realm experts. Moreover, he can only last for a short time. This is his fatal weakness. If you want to deal with him, it's very simple. With your speed and height, you just need to dodge 3 of his attacks and he will be slaughtered. Qin Haoran sneered viciously. The murderous intent in his eyes couldn't be hidden from Tang Sheng and the others. You seem to hate him. Is that why you want to tell us? You want to kill him with a borrowed knife? Tang Sheng's blood boiled and his eyes flashed. He looked at Qin Haoran and said, I want to kill him with a borrowed knife. I only ask that you 3 seniors kill Qin Huang when you kill Yi Qinghan. I can't kill this traitor myself, but I can't let her live either. Qin Haoran said viciously, You didn't lie to us about Yi Qinghan? Tang Sheng's aura exploded and suppressed Qin Haoran for fear of getting the wrong information. I wouldn't dare to lie to you 3 Fate Palace seniors. Otherwise, I'll be struck by lightning. Qin Haoran's face suddenly turned pale. He took a few steps back and said with a bow. In the demon cave in the southwest, a young man with black hair stood up slowly. His eyes were like the sun, moon, and stars. He had an extraordinary temperament and gave people a strange feeling of being both an immortal and a demon. His tall and straight body stood under the demon heart tree. Although the evil spirit sword in his hand was still unsheathed, it was enough to shock the heavens. His thumb moved the hilt of the sword. The sword's hum roared in the void with an evil aura. This man was Xian Wu. Not only was his qi repaired, but it was also many times stronger than before. The demonic spirit treasured body emitted an eerie cold air. It was so cold that it made people unable to breathe. The 5th grade vibrating spirit wings spread out, and Xian Wu leaped into the air. The evil spirit sword was unsheathed, and evil qi soared into the sky. The cold light turned into lightning and rushed to the end of the wilderness. A terrifying crack appeared in midair, forming a violent wind that tore the mortal world apart. Evil sword art. It is indeed powerful, worthy of being the most powerful treasure of the ancient owl falling star. Now that it is in my hands, I will definitely not disgrace you. Within 3 days, I will let you dye the continent red with blood and slaughter all the heroes. A cold light flashed in Xian Wuyu's eyes as he unleashed his invincible aura. His king's qi was even denser than that of a king's qi. It was comparable to Yi Qinghan's. The demonic heart fruit was an ancient spirit fruit. The grade of the demonic sword art and the demonic sword was unknown, but they were not inferior to the 5th grade. In the hands of the demonic spirit treasure body, their power would be terrifying. Xian Wu soared into the sky and rushed to the central region continent. His appearance would definitely cause a bloodbath in the continent. The owl falling star might also become famous and appear in the eyes of the experts of the Owl Dragon region. Yi Qinghan was facing Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning at this moment, and the uneasiness in his heart grew stronger. The sense of danger was overwhelming, as if he was being watched by a poisonous snake. If the danger does not come from them, could it be from Tang Sheng and the others? Yi Qinghan frowned, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He then looked at Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning. "Who are you?" Yi Lingyu asked in a deep voice, holding his treasured sword. "Don't you remember me?" Yi Lingyu. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "Stop pretending, you can't be Supreme Yi. He is dead." Yi Lingyu shouted without hesitation, "Tell me your name, or don't blame me for being impolite today." "Lingyu, do you still remember that I once said that the Saber Dao is divided into 4 realms? The first realm is to control the saber and injure others and oneself. The second realm is to control the saber, and the saber Tao is at initial success. The third realm is to become one with the saber and control the world. The fourth realm is to use flowers as a saber and all things as a saber. Is that the saber Tao is complete? Yi Qinghan asked calmly. Yi Lingyu was shocked and took a few steps back. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Yi Qinghan had said this to him before, but he did not tell anyone. Other than Yi Qinghan, no one knew about it. He could not help but murmur, "You are really Supreme Yi. Didn't you explode and die? Who is he? Who is Supreme Yi? Why do I not know him, but I have a feeling of déjà vu?" Lu Ning asked softly. Yi Lingyu was stunned. Lu Ning actually did not know Yi Qinghan. That was simply impossible. "I changed your memory, so you don't remember me. However, when you reach the Tao Sovereign Realm, your memory will automatically recover," Yi Qinghan said calmly, his clothes fluttering in the wind. Yi Lingyu's pupils constricted. He instantly understood why Yi Qinghan had lured him here. He took another step back and said cautiously, "You want to change my memory? Supreme Yi, although I am indebted to you, I will not allow you to change my memory." "Wait, did you say that you changed my memory?" Lu Ning was shocked. With Yi Qinghan's strength, he might have a chance to kill her, but it was impossible for him to change her memory without her knowing it. Moreover, there was not a single wound on her body. "Just, you were the one who gave up your defense and asked me to change it. I hope that you will give up again because I don't want to kill you," Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. "But there is nothing wrong with Lu Ning asking you to change it, but I can't. My goal is to surpass you. Now, I will let you change my memory without any resistance. Even if I reach the Tao Sovereign Realm and recover my memory, today's scene will be me stepping into the peak of the great Tao. I will never surpass you." Yi Lingyu's aura exploded. His saber chi rushed in all directions, rolling up the forest. His aura was terrifying. "You are now at the brink of minor success in Saber Tao, but you are not there yet. Your improvement is quite fast, but it is still not enough in front of me. You are very talented. Don't force me to kill you," Yi Qinghan said coldly. "Supreme Yi, the outcome of today's battle has not been decided yet. Others may not understand you, but I do. If you could fly, you would take the opportunity to kill or conquer the god-slaying eagle today. You would not compromise and negotiate for peace." Yi Lingyu was extremely strong. A true powerhouse's Tao heart was firm. In other words, they were stubborn. "Supreme Yi, I am indebted to you. I will not repay your kindness with ingratitude. This time, I have not seen you on Owl Falling Star. As long as you do not attack, I will not attack either. It depends on whether you believe me or not," Yi Lingyu said in a low voice. Buzz, a divine guqin flashing with divine light suddenly appeared in Emperor Ye's arms. His 5 fingers plucked the 9 strings of the guqin fiercely. The flesh of his 5 fingers exploded, but the sound of the guqin pierced through the sky and broke through everything. Without any warning, it directly attacked Yi Lingyu's sea of consciousness. Yi Lingyu defended against Yi Qinghan but did not defend against Emperor Yi. He coughed up blood and flew backward. His consciousness was in a mess, and his eyes were blurred. He almost fainted. Yi Qinghan's figure moved. He turned his fist into a palm blade and directly struck the back of Yi Lingyu's head. Yi Lingyu only had time to groan before he fell to the ground and fainted. Lu Ning held her silver whip tightly and looked at Emperor Yi cautiously. She felt that this little girl who was like a porcelain doll was too terrifying. In an instant, she broke through the sea of consciousness of a Grotto Heaven realm powerhouse. It was simply beyond her comprehension. "Lu Ning, ask your heart. Do you want to be my enemy, or do you want me to change your memories so that you can leave planet Owlfall and return to Owl Dragon area?" Yi Qinghan asked coldly. Lu Ning looked confused. Even though Yi Qinghan had suppressed Yi Lingyu, she could not feel any hostility toward Yi Qinghan. Now that he wanted her to change her memories, she still could not feel any hostility toward him. This weird way of thinking made her go crazy. She felt as if she could not control her own soul. "Lu Ning, I know you are confused. Why did you not resist when I changed your memories? I cannot explain it to you now. You can think of it as making a deal with me. I will seal and change your memories, but in the future, I will give up some for you. Even if you forget the deal now, you will remember it later. Now, I hope you can still let me change your memories, Yi Qinghan said quietly. Lu Ning clenched her fists. She wanted to refute Yi Qinghan's suggestion, but her heart was not listening to her. This feeling of helplessness made her want to cry. You and I know each other, but fate makes fools of us. You willingly gave up resisting and let me change your memories. That already explains everything. Now, even if you have forgotten me, you still do not want to be my enemy. I will remember you in my heart. Close your eyes and rest for a while. Soon, you will wake up, and you will have another layer of memories to train with. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse. It contained a special power. Together with the low melody that Emperor Yi played, Lu Ning felt drowsy. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up. He did not expect Lu Ning's feelings to be so deep. Even if she had forgotten about him, she was still unwilling to make a move. He could not help but sigh inwardly. He said helplessly, "It is destined to be a tragedy. Perhaps I should seal this memory completely." His divine sense surged into Lu Ning's mind. He replaced her training on Owl Fall planet with a memory of how he had been severely injured and had fled back to Owl Fall region. Then, he replaced part of Yi Lingyu's memories with this memory. Finally, he opened Lu Ning's universe ring and took out a small cloud-piercing ship. It looked like a small boat that was sealed, but it also looked like a high-tech device that could travel through the universe. This cloud-piercing ship was worth at least 2 to 3 million mid-grade spirit stones. Yi Qinghan placed Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning inside the cloud-piercing ship. He opened the cloud-piercing ship and quickly set the parameters. He adjusted the coordinates of Alfal region and let it drive itself. It traveled through the Milky Way and charged out of the Milky Way. Phew! Yi Qinghan let out a breath. As long as Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning could stabilize themselves, Alfal planet would be peaceful for at least a few years. He could also cultivate for a few more days. He did not need too much time. If he had 3 years, he would not need to fear Alfal region. Even if Alfal region's experts came to invade, he could still escape if he could not kill them. Master, Tang Sheng and the others have returned to Flaming Cloud City. Qin Haoren is also there. He betrayed you. Emperor Ye's divine sense had been expanding outwards. He maintained a vigilant state. When he saw Qin Haoren leading Tang Sheng and the others back to Flaming Cloud City, his gentle face finally became slightly angry. His tolerance towards Qin Haoren had turned into indulgence. He did not expect that Qin Haoren would actually collude with outsiders to kill him for his own selfish desires. He is just a piece of trash. One state of mind determines everything. This kind of person who even wants to kill his own sister for worldly possessions should stop at the sea of bitterness. Since that is the case, I will send him to hell. Yi Qinghan's eyes surged with a chilling light. His killing intent shot out in all directions. A tyrannical and sharp aura burst out. He intentionally left his aura behind and turned to charge into the distance. His figure shot out and was getting further and further away from Flaming Cloud City. Countless barren mountains and steep ridges sped behind him. His vigorous body seemed to be walking on the wind. Emperor Yi was even brought up into the sky. Behind him, Tang Sheng and the others followed closely. They did not conceal their killing intent at all. Chapter 111. Yi Qinghan's silhouette sped through the wilderness. In the end, he lifted Renhuang Yi, the little girl, onto his shoulder. The stars spun, and he was about to shatter the void. Emperor Ye's hair was flying in the wind, and his eyes were blurred. He could feel the 3 terrifying auras behind him, but he was not worried. The parrot suddenly shouted, "There's still the bald tiger under the cliff. Let's take it and surround them." Tang Sheng only had 3 fate palaces, but Yi Qinghan did not. The 2 deicide eagles were enough to suppress Tang Sheng and Dongfang Yu. Yi Qinghan, Emperor Yi, and the parrot could easily defeat them, but it would be difficult to kill them. With the addition of the wild tiger, their chances would be greatly increased. Yi Qinghan's eyes lit up. He hid his aura and took a detour to the cliff. Tang Sheng and the others crossed a lonely mountain, only to find that Yi Qinghan had disappeared. There was not even a trace of his aura. They could not help but frown as they looked into the sky. However, within 100 miles, there were mountains and forests. Looking for a person was like looking for a needle in a haystack. He should be nearby. He can't run away. Tang Sheng sneered and said disdainfully, he can't fly. Since Xinyuan Yu doesn't dare to attack and Lu Patian wants to curry favor with him, the three of us will benefit. 2 4th-grade demonic cores, a rhino horn, and so many 4th-grade hides. It's enough for the three of us to dominate Owl Falling Star. That's right. Yi Qinghan must have a lot of treasures, or at least secret techniques. He must have obtained some ancient treasures. If we can get a 5th-grade secret technique, ha! Situ Feng laughed wildly, his eyes filled with greed. It's useless to talk about this now. Let's find Yi Qinghan first, Dong Fengyu said in a muffled voice. In this boundless ancient forest, ancient trees covered the sky. The atmosphere was majestic and filled with the vicissitudes of life. It was awe-inspiring. The 3 powerhouses of the Fate Palace realm worked together to search the mountain range. Their imposing manner suppressed the ferocious beasts. Apart from the howling of the wind, no other sound could be heard. In the sky above Flaming Cloud City, a figure flickered, shattering the void and shifting the stars, making it hard for others to grasp his trajectory. A distance of 1,000 meters was traversed in an instant, and he suddenly descended on Flaming Cloud City. Looking down at the hell-like Flaming Cloud City, his cold and handsome face sank slightly as he appeared before Di Kong. At this moment, Di Kong was fighting for the demon cores when he was suddenly locked onto by a cold and ghastly aura. His entire body trembled as he raised his eyes to look at the familiar yet unfamiliar face. His eyes were filled with shock. Brother Xian. Di Kong looked at Leisure, who had become mysterious and unfathomable. He was so shocked that he could not speak for a long time. I'm not dead. The corners of Xian Wuyu's mouth curled up, revealing an evil smile. He glanced around, disdainful of the people fighting over the demonic cores. He asked emotionlessly, Beast-Tide? The Demon Valley's defenses have been breached? Too many people died. In the end, if it wasn't for Yi Qinghan and the support from the rear, the entire Owl Fall planet would have been destroyed. Di Kong sighed. Yi Qinghan is not dead yet? Where is he now? Light flashed across Xian Wuyu's eyes. He was not angry but happy as he immediately asked. He left the city. He should be in the southwest mountain range. Brother Xian, Yi Qinghan's current strength is very terrifying. We have all underestimated him. I suggest you... Di Kong's expression sank. He was afraid that Xian Wuyu would find trouble with Yi Qinghan alone and meet with another mishap. Is it very terrifying? This is more interesting. A one-sided slaughter is not fun. Xian Wuyu was extremely excited. His blood was boiling as he spread his wings and flew up 1,000 meters. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from everyone's sight. His speed was unparalleled, and even Ling Chen was shocked. He has become so terrifying. Ling Chen clenched his fists tightly as battle intent surged out from his eyes. In the ancient desolate mountain range of Flaming Cloud City, the atmosphere was so oppressive that it made it hard for people to breathe. Dark clouds rolled in the sky as the pressure was vast and mighty. It was as if the sky was about to collapse and crush the land. Some of the weaker beasts were paralyzed as they looked up to the sky to breathe. Their eyes were filled with fear and despair. Xian Wuyu was like a great rock spreading its wings, stirring up the wind and clouds. He broke through the momentum of the heaven and earth. His every move shook the laws of the great Tao, which instantly alerted Tang Sheng and the others. The four's eyes made contact with each other. Sparks flew as they pierced through the void. Their auras exploded at the same time. A ray of eye intent crushed the ancient tree and the lone mountain. Tang Sheng and the others gasped as they looked at the young Xian Wuyu. He was only in the Grotto Heaven realm, but he gave them a terrifying sense of danger. They had only experienced this situation with Yi Qinghan. They did not expect such a monster to appear on the same day. Their eyes surged with killing intent. Xian Wuyu's eyes looked disdainfully at the three as if he was looking at three weaklings. He asked coldly, "Have you seen Yi Qinghan?" He was looking for Yi Qinghan? Tang Sheng and the others were shocked. They did not know whether Xian Wuyu was Yi Qinghan's friend or not. "Who are you? You don't seem to be a young expert from Owl Falls Star." Tang Sheng asked tentatively. Xian Wuyu looked at Tang Sheng coldly and recognized him. He said in a low voice, "Tang Sheng, I am Xian Wuyu. I used to be one of the top 10 young experts of Owl Falls Star. Now, I am invincible, the #1 expert of Owl Falls Star. Let me ask you, where is Yi Qinghan?" Xian Wuyu's tone was arrogant, even more so than Yi Qinghan's. Even in the face of the three fate palaces, he did not show any respect. Instead, he acted like he was giving orders. Tang Sheng and the others' faces darkened. The #1 expert of Owl Falls Star. This was not limited to the younger generation, but the entire Owl Falls Star. Apart from the Azure Dragon Taoist, no one had dared to say this in the past 500 years. They did not expect another one to appear today, and it was a young man in the Grotto Heaven realm. #1 expert? It's good for young people to be arrogant, but it's not good to be too arrogant and not put the seniors in your eyes. Tang Sheng said disdainfully. Xian Wuyu's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He waved his hand and the evil spirit sword appeared in his hand. It was cold and evil, breaking through Tang Sheng and the others' defenses and heading straight for their chi xis. Tang Sheng and the others were shocked. They retreated and looked at Xian Wuyu with vigilance. Dongfang Yu frowned. She thought of Xian Wuyu's identity and asked, "Xian Wuyu, what is your relationship with Yi Qinghan? Why are you looking for him?" Xian Wuyu's eyes flashed with impatience. If not for the fact that his main target today was Yi Qinghan, he would have killed the three fate palaces first. However, he quickly suppressed his anger and said impatiently, "He and I are enemies. As for why I am looking for him, do I need to tell you? An enemy who would not rest until one of them died?" Tang Sheng and the others were overjoyed. The old fox's shrewdness was revealed. He laughed and said, "So Brother Xian is also enemies with Yi Qinghan. You are on the same side as us. Today, we joined forces to find him, but he is hiding in the mountains. We are looking for him. Let's work together. You can take revenge and we can take his corpse. How about that?" Xian Wuyu gripped the evil spirit sword tightly, and a trace of disdain appeared on his face. He instantly understood what these old foxes wanted to do. However, since they were using each other, then they would use each other. At the cliff, Yi Qinghan raised his hand and looked at his right arm. There was a mark on his Azure Dragon arm that looked like a miniature version of the god-slaying eagle. This was the mark of a spiritual pet contract. Once it recognized a master and the spiritual pet died, the master would be severely injured. If the master died, the spiritual pet would die. Emperor Ye's jade arm had the same mark. It seemed that the god-slaying eagle could not escape the temptation and became a spiritual pet. However, Yi Qinghan and Emperor Ye's bloodline was very strong. It was definitely beneficial for them. "Come out. Bring me to the bottom of the cliff to see if Wild Tiger is dead." Yi Qinghan pointed at the mark, and the god-slaying eagle turned into a wisp of cloud and shot out from the Azure Dragon arm. Its deep eyes were filled with greed. It seemed that it was very satisfied with Yi Qinghan's Azure Dragon arm bloodline. Screech, the god-slaying eagle let out a soft cry and spread its wings to rush down the cliff. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi down and landed on the god-slaying eagle's huge back. They faced the strong wind and fell rapidly, but they were as steady as Mount Tai. Their black hair fluttered behind them, making them look like immortals descending to the mortal world. Halfway down the cliff, Wild Tiger was holding onto a support point pitifully. He was panting and his eyes were filled with despair. The parrot looked at Wild Tiger shivering and swaying in the cold wind. It could not help but laugh mockingly. When Wild Tiger saw that the god-slaying eagle had arrived, he cried tears of joy. Then he saw that Yi Qinghan was standing on the god-slaying eagle's back. Yi Qinghan also had that stupid bird on his shoulder. He was instantly enraged. Screech, the god-slaying eagle let out a low roar and flapped its wings in the air. The strong wind became even more ferocious. The cold wind was bone-piercing and made their clothes flutter. The god-slaying eagle stretched out its sharp claws and grabbed the tiger's forelimbs. The wild tiger, which weighed several tons, was lifted up easily by it. It could be seen that its claws were sharp enough to split mountains. Any defense would not be able to withstand its attack. Whoosh! The god-slaying eagle soared into the sky and broke through the air. In the blink of an eye, it rushed to the top of the cliff and threw Wild Tiger to the side. Wild Tiger roared and glared at the parrot. It could be seen how unbearable its hatred was. Bald Tiger, how dare you go against your divine bird grandpa? Do you believe that I will throw you down again? The parrot sneered. All right, god-slaying eagle, I'll leave Wild Tiger to you. If it doesn't listen, I don't mind killing another fourth-rank demonic beast, Yi Qinghan said coldly. Screech! The god-slaying eagle let out an angry roar, intimidating Wild Tiger. Wild Tiger was stunned, and then its face was filled with dissatisfaction and unwillingness. However, with the god-slaying eagle suppressing it, it quickly submitted. The god-slaying eagle returned to Yi Qinghan's Azure Dragon arm. It was unwilling to come out and greedily use the Azure Dragon's bloodline to evolve its body. Wild Tiger obediently lay on the ground. Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi and stepped on the tiger's back. He ordered, "Bring us into the depths." Wild Tiger ran wildly with an extraordinary aura. Along the way, it destroyed mountains and extinguished trees. Ancient trees were uprooted, instantly alarming Xian Wuyu and the others. Xian Wuyu spread his wings and hated the heavens and the earth. The stars moved, and the moon covered. In an instant, he appeared in front of Wild Tiger. His toes touched an ancient tree, and he looked down at Yi Qinghan with a cold and arrogant smile. "I've searched high and low for you, only to find you by chance." Xian Wuyu's voice was low and melodious. He said calmly, "Yi Qinghan, we haven't seen each other for half a month. Do you still remember me?" Yi Qinghan was stunned. He didn't expect Xian Wuyu to become even stronger after his qi was broken. He then looked at the evil spirit sword in his hand and his pupils shrank. Clearly, he recognized this ancient famed sword. Shua, without waiting for Yi Qinghan to reply, Tang Sheng and the others surrounded Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi from all directions. They sneered. "Yi Qinghan, let's see where you can run to." Tang Sheng sneered sinisterly. Chapter 112. What I want to say is that all of you are the most handsome, the prettiest, the Prince Charming Queen. That's right. I'm talking about you. Look at yourself in the mirror. Am I wrong? The next chapter may not be as attractive as a novel, but I implore everyone to finish reading it. It's very important to me. Every time it's on the shelves, it's like a pregnant woman. I'm very excited and nervous. I'm afraid that I'll give birth to an abnormal child after 10 months of pregnancy. I hope that the child will be born healthy. My book is like my child. When it's on the shelves, it means that it will be born and grow. I'm really nervous. I'm afraid that it will be deformed. First of all, I want to thank everyone for following me for the past 2 months. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your tips, comments, recommendation votes, and favorites. Without you, there wouldn't be Kwang Wu Zhan's achievements today. There wouldn't be Daodu today. I want to thank Sister Do for working hard every day to help with the promotion and management of the book reviews and group chat. I want to thank Qingyu, Qian, Xiaocheng, Director, Smile, Lin Hong, Zhan Jian, Phoenix Fantasy Dance, Angle, Think of Love, Dian Dian, Yu, Little Huang Meng, Jock Feather, Rainbow, etc. Also, I want to thank all of you for your tips and votes. There's a lot of people, hundreds of them. I won't thank you one by one, but I'll remember all of you in my heart. I want to thank the soft girls and tough guys in the group chat. Moi, I remember all of you. I want to thank the editor for thinking so highly of me and recommending me one after another. Daodu bowed deeply in gratitude. Let me tell everyone a short story. A restaurant opened in town. In order to attract customers and let more people know about their delicacies, they decided to provide free meals for a month. During this month, regardless of the weather, they provided 2 main meals a day and occasionally breakfast. Everyone thought that it was delicious. The owner of the restaurant saw that everyone liked it. Although some people scolded that the food was late or that it wasn't enough, he was still very happy. This feeling of being appreciated was very blissful, very blissful. However, no one could provide free meals all the time. After all, the boss also needed to pay rent, electricity, and material fees. Therefore, he decided to charge a certain amount of meal fees for the second month. It was very cheap. It was a good quality and cheap price. Anyone could afford it. However, the curses were overwhelming. Some people accused the boss of being a swindler. They blocked the door and cursed, thinking that the boss should always give them free food and should provide more and better food. Some people even directly sneaked in from the back door to steal food. After eating, they even smashed the back door of the restaurant so that more people could steal food. Of course, there were always a small number of such people. There were still more people who chose to continue eating in this small restaurant because it was delicious and cheap. The boss's efforts were always rewarded and recognized by many people, wasn't it? If this was news, I would like to ask everyone, those who were holding their phones or sitting in front of their computers would definitely criticize those who cursed the boss or stole food from the back door and even smashed the door, right? Similarly, Dowda worked hard for 2 months to let everyone read Quang Wujian for free for 2 months. Every day there were 2 updates, 6,000 words. Sometimes, there would be a burst of 10,000 words. This was the result of a day's work. Sometimes, it would take 2 hours to write 3,000 words. Sitting under the electric fan, sweating profusely, it was very tiring. However, seeing the number of bookmarks increasing one after another, and the readers rewarding me with large amounts of rewards, I felt very happy and blessed. This was being recognized. I believe everyone understands the feeling of working hard to do something and being recognized by others. However, I also need to eat, buy groceries, and live. I also want to sit under the air conditioner and write more comfortably. I can't always be free, so it's normal to charge for it. Just like work, no one will always work for others for free. That's why I will put it up for sale. For every 1,000 words, I will charge 3 to 5 cents. A chapter of 3,000 words will cost me 9 to 1 cent 50 cents. If I update 3 chapters a day, it will cost me 3 to 4 cents. That's about 10 RMB a month. For many people, it's just a pack of cigarettes, but it can buy me a month's worth of hard work. I believe that no one will bend down to pick up 20 cents on the street, right? It's really cheap, and anyone can afford it. Every reader who loves to read Xuanhuan fantasizes about the day when they can be like the main character, flying in the sky, fighting for justice, and trampling on all injustice. They are people who have a strong sense of justice. Don't ask me how I know, because I am such a person. I love to read Xuanhuan novels. Even so, there will still be some people who will sit under the air conditioner, holding their phones or sitting in front of their computers, smoking branded cigarettes and telling me, I don't have money to read. I can only reply with a bitter smile. I can only say that we come from all over the world to meet in Quang Wujian. If we really can't support you, we will meet again if fate wills it. If not, we will part ways and meet again in the next chapter. After saying so much, it's just to ask for subscriptions. Go to Genesis Chinese Network, QQ Reading on mobile, QQ Reading, and QQ Reading to support the original subscriptions. Every single one of your subscriptions and donations are the greatest support for me. The great gods who become gods by writing books are supported by every subscription. Without your support, no matter how big the god is, it is just a bubble that will scatter with the wind. If they are called gods, then you are the creators. I also want to become a so-called god. Are you willing to create a god? Chapter 113. The 3 fate palaces were ferocious and did not bother to hide their murderous intent at all. It was obvious that a sure-kill situation had been formed. Tang Xing seemed to have foreseen Yi Qinghan's death and was extremely arrogant. Yi Qinghan frowned. He did not expect Wu Yu to appear out of nowhere and become so powerful. He might not be able to defeat Wu Yu even if he went all out. The evil spirit sword. I didn't expect you to inherit the evil spirit sword. You're lucky. Yi Qinghan did not look at Tang Xing and the others. These clowns were nothing to be afraid of. Only Wu Yu, who was at the Grotto Heaven realm, made him cautious. Yi Qinghan, I didn't expect you to be so knowledgeable. You even know about the evil spirit sword. Wu Yu was not in a hurry. He was much calmer than before and looked mysterious. You want to join forces with them to take revenge? Yi Qinghan frowned. Ha! Yi Qinghan, you're too arrogant. If you want to take revenge, why would you need to join forces with them? Killing you is as easy as waving my hand. But since you're talented, I can consider letting you go if you become my slave. Wu Yu laughed wildly. His black hair danced in the wind and his aura was overwhelming. Slave? Even if your evil spirit sword technique is at the 9th level, what can you do to me? Yi Qinghan was cautious and chose to summon Frenzy instead of the Devil Dragon Saber. Although the Devil Dragon Saber was of a high level, it was suppressed by an unknown formation and could only unleash 4th-rank power. It was not as powerful as Frenzy. He held the saber core in one hand and the Frenzy saber in the other and confronted Wu Yu with an imposing aura. He could not help but worry. Wu Yu was enough to hold him back and the god-slaying eagle would be delayed by the 2 fate palaces. Emperor Yi would be in danger. He could not count on the parrot. It was impossible for it to fight against a Fate Palace realm warrior. If any of the 3 wanted to kill Emperor Yi, Frenzy Tiger would not be able to stop them. Wu Yu grinned and activated his Devil Spirit treasure body. Demonic chi filled the sky and caused a vision to appear. Red clouds gathered in the void, a demonic dragon rolled up and a rainbow peacock flew in the sky. Special body constitution. Tang Sheng and the others were shocked. How many years had it been since a special physique appeared on Owl Fall Star? A terrifying special physique might not appear even once in several eras on a large planet, but a small planet like the Owl Fall Star had actually appeared. How could he not be shocked? However, Xian Wuyu was not the first to possess a special physique in this era. Emperor Yi was the first. Moreover, Emperor Ye's special physique was a rare physique in the Desolation era. For tens of thousands of years, there were only 2 people with this physique in the endless universe. Both of them had reached the quasi-emperor realm and were able to kill the real Desolation demon emperors, step into the forbidden area, and fight against the heavens. Xian Wuyu's special physique was formed after eating the devil heart fruit. Yi Qinghan's eyes narrowed into slits as he stared at Xian Wuyu. If Xian Wuyu had an ordinary physique, even if he were to fight someone of a higher cultivation level than him, it wouldn't be a problem if the other party had a grade 5 spirit vibrating wings. However, if Xian Wuyu had a special physique, and with such a huge difference in cultivation level, it would be very dangerous. Am I worthy to be your master now? Xian Wuyu looked down at Yi Qinghan as if he was looking down on all living beings. He was extremely arrogant. Yi Qinghan sneered. So what if Xian Wuyu had a special physique? Emperor Xin Yi and Azura Qianyi both had special physiques or bloodlines. Didn't they have to rely on hundreds of revered martial artists to force him to his death? Moreover, he had an acquired devil spirit treasured physique. You think too highly of yourself? Yi Qinghan's fingertips trembled as he glanced at Tang Sheng and the others. He realized that they were waiting for him to suffer. If we fight, we have to fight at the same time. No one will be able to take advantage of us. My son, you and your spiritual pet deal with Tang Sheng. My spiritual pet will deal with Dongfang Yu. Parrot, you and Wild Tiger will deal with Situ Feng. Even if you can't kill him, you have to keep him busy, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Emperor Yi looked dignified as he held the Guqin in his arms. He looked like an ordinary little girl. Life Palace realm powerhouses would not care at all, let alone Xian Wuyu. Since you don't want to, I'll give you back 10 times the damage you've done to me. Xian Wuyu was filled with murderous intent. Just as he was about to draw his sword, Yi Qinghan pointed his finger and forced the god-slaying eagle to come out. He dashed into the distance and said coldly, Xian Wuyu, if you want revenge, come after me. Yi Qinghan knew that without the support of the god-slaying eagle, it would be difficult for him to fight Xian Wuyu. However, for Emperor Ye's safety, he had to stall for time. Swish, Yi Qinghan used the stellar transposition. With a twist of his toes, he flew up to the top of a tree. He stepped on the leaves and flew at an extremely fast speed. Xian Wuyu sneered. He didn't even look at the spirit pet that Yi Qinghan had forced out. He directly rushed into the void. The two figures were as fast as lightning and quickly disappeared from Tang Sheng and the other's sight. Let's kill Mad Tiger and the little girl first. Tang Sheng sneered and was about to pounce on Emperor Yi. Screech. Yi Qinghan's god-slaying eagle was greedily absorbing Yi Qinghan's qi and blood. It was cultivating excitedly when it was interrupted. As soon as it appeared, it saw Tang Sheng and was furious. Its wings covered the sky and shook the forest. Its sharp claws tore a big tree in front of it into pieces. Tang Sheng bumped into the god-slaying eagle as soon as he took a step forward. He had goosebumps all over his body as he retreated. The god-slaying eagle. How did it become Yi Qinghan's god-slaying eagle? Tang Sheng shouted in horror. Screech. Another eagle's screech shook the mountains and rivers. A second god-slaying eagle appeared. Then, Mad Tiger pounced on Situ Feng. The parrot flashed and hid far away. Emperor Yi retreated with the guqin. He put it away and summoned the divine guqin. He sat cross-legged on the ground and kept plucking the 9 strings. The sound of the guqin was loud and reverberated in the world. A strange aura descended. The entire space seemed to have returned to the ancient battlefield. Countless experts were fighting. Even the supremes fell. Blood rained down from the sky, suppressing everyone's qi and blood. The world was filled with mournful roars that turned into killing intent. A ray of cold light could take one's life. What song is this? Tang Sheng felt that his qi and blood were blocked. The pressure increased sharply. He was already at a disadvantage when facing the god-slaying eagle. At this moment, he was in an even more sorry state. I don't know. Dao. My qi and blood. Kill Emperor Yi first. Stop her from playing the guqin. Dongfang Yu was forced back by the god-slaying eagle. Her face was pale and she found it difficult to breathe. This song, Burial Emperor Chant, was composed during the battle between the ancient Guqin Di Tian and the 10 great demon emperors of the Forbidden Land. Once this song was played, the great emperors fell. Their blood dyed the galaxy and the sky cracked. Although I only know half of it and can only use 1/10,000th of its power, it is more than enough to intimidate your qi and blood. Emperor Ye's eyes shot out shadows of the divine guqin, which turned into sharp divine weapons that broke through the void. A ray of heavenly music broke through Tang Sheng's sea of consciousness. No matter how strong the soul defense was, it couldn't block a ray of her music. Her 10 fingers stained the divine guqin with blood. The tearing pain made her tender face twitch slightly. However, she didn't want to let go of the divine guqin. She only wanted to share some of the pressure for Yi Qinghan. The god-slaying eagle roared. Its sharp claws were invincible. The Burial Emperor chant didn't affect their qi and blood. Instead, it became even more violent. It was as if their blood was boiling and wanted to burn the sky. The Mad Tiger roared. With a leap of 1,000 meters, the lone mountain collapsed. The giant ancient trees were uprooted and smashed towards Situ Feng. Its mouth was full of fangs. As long as it bit Situ Feng, it could definitely penetrate his defense. The parrot was hiding behind a lone mountain. It was sneakily waiting for Situ Feng's arrival. Situ Feng was forced back. His qi and blood were already suppressed. Coupled with the Mad Tiger's ferocity, he didn't dare to fight back. He gradually approached the parrot. His back was wide open. The parrot grinned. Emperor Yi sensed the situation on the parrot's side. He pursed his lips and endured the intense pain. He focused all of his energy on Situ Feng. He plucked the strings of the guqin fiercely, almost breaking them. He hummed, Burial Emperor. The sound of the guqin contained an unparalleled pressure and will. It turned into an illusory blade that broke through the void and rushed towards Situ Feng. One boom. Situ Feng's body suddenly froze. It was as if thunder had exploded in his mind. The terrifying scene of an ancient battlefield appeared. A will appeared in the sky, bringing with it an unparalleled divine might. It almost shattered Situ Feng's soul and will. Situ Feng screamed. It was as if he had suffered the most terrifying attack. That gaze was like the descent of a great emperor. It was enough to crush down Master Divine Marshal. Ho! The mad tiger vented all of its anger. It leaped hundreds of meters into the air, its fangs tearing through the sky. Its forelimbs smashed toward Situfeng. Situfeng's consciousness was in chaos. His eyes were filled with despair. He desperately tried to dodge. Finally, he managed to dodge the fangs. However, he couldn't dodge the attack of the mad tiger's forelimbs. Pooh! The mad tiger's mountain-like forelimbs smashed into Situfeng's chest. Situfeng's organs were torn apart. He spat out a mouthful of essence blood, dyeing the sky red. His body was smashed into the shape of a bow as he crashed towards where the parrot was. The parrot saw that its chance had come. Its figure flashed and turned into lightning. It rushed out from the top of the mountain and shouted, "Watch me!" While a massive flame spewed out, shooting into the heavens. It touched Situfeng's life palace blood vitality and directly ignited him. Situfeng's originally scattered divine sense was burned to the point of madness. He no longer controlled his true essence to fly. Instead, he desperately slapped away the flames on his body and fell into the depths of the mountain. "I will spit! I will burn you to death, you old bastard!" The parrot chased after Situfeng. The spiritual strength in its body was rapidly dissipating. It was panting for breath, but it still didn't want to let Situfeng go. Situfeng's aura had been ignited. He had also been struck in the chest by the mad tiger. Even if he landed safely, he wouldn't be able to live for long. The parrot was also unforgiving. Situfeng's life force rapidly dissipated and his miserable cries filled the air. Oh! How could the mad tiger allow others to steal his credit? Moreover, it was a lowly servant parrot. He turned and soared into the skies once more, smashing his forelimbs toward Situfeng. Even the parrot was attacked. "Aya! Fuck you! Rabbit fur tiger, I will never forgive you!" The parrot rose up vertically, its butt shrinking as it soared into the skies. Bang! The mad tiger's forelimbs, which were thicker than a bucket, smashed into Situfeng's chest once more. Situfeng's eyes rolled back in his head and blood flowed out of his orifices. He fell from the skies, smashing into a mountain rock. Emperor Yi held his zither. His entire body was stained with blood. His white robes had turned red. As he played the zither, he buried the emperor's life palace with a single song. The vicissitudes of the ages gathered together, suppressing the heavens and making all living things submit. It was as if the zither emperor had reappeared. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.